Houston, Texas. And gentlemen, it's day 2 of our marathon shows this week. I am so excited to be here. We're presented, as always, by Bet Rivers and Underdog Fantasy. You can get a $100 deposit match up to $100. Use promo code FIELD, F-I-E-L-D. And we are live from Little Woodrow's Edo here in Houston. We'll be here for the next 2 hours. If you're in town, stop by, grab a cold beverage, say hello, and give Terrence Oglesby some shit for walking in 4 minutes before the show starts.
He's got 6 a.m. sprints tomorrow. He's got sprints tomorrow, 6 a.m. showing up late. Let's go. Accountability.
Hey, hold on. We just started the show. I was here for the start of the show. I'm not exactly sure what this is. I'm not exactly sure what this is right now.
What the show is or the criticism?
The criticism.
Okay.
I understand what the show is.
Listen, you're too vetty for this, right? It's like the 5th-year guy who shows up late for a team meeting. That can't happen. Freshman, maybe, but you're our go-to guy, T.O. Be better than that.
Vetty wop.
I'm saying you were never late to practice.
I was never late.
One time to go wait to practice.
It's wild that you say that because I still haven't been late. It's crazy.
Well, our friends at Bet Rivers certainly help us out with some fun props every now and then. The person to be late to this show, Terrence Oglesby, was minus 600. That cash to anybody at home who played that game. Congratulations. I personally hammered it. We'll see for the evening.
You can see the steam coming out of T.O.'s
Yeah, I don't love
now.
being called late, especially when I'm not late.
It is what
especially Mr. McCall, Coach McCall. When you let everybody know that you have meetings all morning.
Hold on. I'm jumping in here. I'm jumping in here.
Yeah.
We did say multiple times 11:30, and you rolled in at 11:55.
Yeah, I said multiple times where I was going to be all morning.
I don't know about that.
You're interviewing for a coaching job.
Your issues of communication.
He's pivoting now.
Hey,
This is going straight to coaching.
This is a deep-seated issue right now.
I'm just saying,
communication levels have to be better today.
He just interviewed for a coaching job with deep NIL pockets. Huge
pockets.
Deep pockets.
did happen. Hey, it's like the Jordan rules, right? He had his own set of rules. It's just the T.O. rules here at the Field of 68.
More like the Rodman rules.
Or the
More
Rodman rules. That's okay. Hey, we also got Matt McCall here. He's making his Field of 68 Final Four debut. Mr.
Scoot
McCall,
in here.
it's good
Scoot
to
in
see
here.
you.
Look at you. You're off the camera right now.
Off the camera.
Come
I don't
on.
have I have my blue
You're a
blazer over
veteran
there,
now.
but man RC said don't put it on. Be casual. So I'm rocking with my man RC today.
You're a veteron. You can scoot in. We're
Rocking
ready.
with RC is a bold move after yesterday. RC was getting some shit from UConn.
He got
wait
hammered yesterday.
for tonight.
It is still happening right now.
Hey, but you guys don't know this. Matt McCall took me around Florida's campus when I was 17 years old. People don't know that.
Is that why you didn't go there?
I was a GA. My man Larry
was a-
Shiat recruited you.
No, it was Anthony.
It was Anthony Grant.
Anthony recruited me.
Did he show up late?
I was.
No,
I was very much on time.
We had the golf cart going around.
That was awesome. It's a cool place. You guys were ahead. They were ahead of the curve. They had their own practice facility before teams really had their own practice facility.
And then all of a sudden it became outdated. Because
it came
everybody
out.
else got
It become outdated in like 4 years, which I think everything does. It's an arms race. It's unbelievable.
All right, guys, so we have a lot to get to today. Like I said, jam-packed show. We'll be here for the next 2 hours at Little Woodrow's. We've got another show this evening as well, so you can stay tuned for a ton of content today from the Field of 68. All your favorite faces will be in and out of the show. It won't just be us 4 schmucks all day. We've got Randolph Childress here as well. We've got Jeff Goodman and John Fanta live from the stadium as well. Plenty to come. Some special guests will be joining us as well. I'm going to keep that a surprise until they enter the show, but stay tuned in the next 20 or so minutes.
If you want a hint, just look at Greg's T-shirt right now.
I don't know if you can see it underneath the shirt.
There you go.
A man who some refer to as my father will be in attendance today. We'll see what happens. But first, guys, I want to talk to you about next year. We spent all day yesterday previewing this Final Four. We'll certainly do a lot more of that this week.
Sure.
But there's some preseason top 25s lists that are making their way into the Twitter sphere right now.
That makes sense.
And some eyebrows are being raised. I'm not saying that some people are unhappy with what they have. T.O., who is the preseason #1 team in the country in your mind for next season?
That's a lot, but I think Duke grabbing some coming back. Mark Mitchell's coming back. Tyrese Proctor, Jeremy Roach, assuming he's coming back. The goals going crazy over here. I think Duke has a legit shot. And guys, I'm going to be honest, just because we're ACC people here, we love the ACC on the Field of 68. I think North Carolina, you look at what Armando Bacot coming back, R.J. Davis coming back, you might see the best version of them now that Caleb Love decided to transfer. Best case scenario if you're Hubert Davis. As far as #1's concerned, how the heck do we know How do we know?
We have no idea.
We have 75%
There's this thing
of
called the
every
transfer portal that over 1,000 players are in it right now. 1,000.
The way too early rankings, I don't know how you do it at this point. Just throw them all in a pot and then hope.
Well, think about this, too.
Yeah.
What happens to UConn? Does
They can
Sonogo
still-
come back?
Yeah,
Does
he's
Andre
back.
Jackson come back? Like, you still don't know what that team's going to look like. But they're sitting here.
Does
They're in the
Klingon
Final
come
Four,
back?
Legit shot to obviously win a national championship. They're here. Who on that team comes back? I think if they win a national championship, like we were talking about off air, it's probably going to be hard to get any of them back.
Absolutely.
But if they don't, Miami knocks them off, someone else knocks them off. I think you could see all those guys come
Well,
back. And then you got to pick them number one.
who are the guys that really leave outside of Jordan Hawkins that have legitimate NBA upside?
Andre Jackson.
Good
Andre
point.
Jackson.
Yes.
Andre Jackson.
Good point.
You know,
But
Sonogo's, I mean, he's probably going to think he's an NBA player. He's got the body, he's got the post moves, but the NBA obviously
They don't play like that.
It's gone so far away from that style of player. Now he can screen, he can roll to the basket, he can catch, he can finish, he can guard a pick and roll. But I think it's hard for him. But I think if they win it all, I don't. This isn't 06,
I
07
think-
Florida, but everybody comes back. I think they all
No.
go.
I think the big difference maker, we talk about how valuable NIL is and the impact that it has on college basketball. The difference maker is now there's a legitimate chance that guys like Adama Sanogo and Andre Jackson return to school. Because if UConn can find a way to make it to the point where they can get what they would get, let's just say with a two-way contract, right? Let's say you can get them up to $500,000 for a year. Then there's a legitimate argument to make saying, hey, look, come back. And what you can do is if you improve this, let's just take Andre Jackson, for example, right? If you can get him to whatever he would make on a two-way deal, and you say, come back, work on your jump shot. If you end up being a guy that can knock down 35% from three consistently, then you got a chance to be a first-round pick. Then instead of having to work your way through it, you have a chance to get those guaranteed millions of dollars and get that 4-year guaranteed cut. That's the pitch. And frankly, it could work for a lot of different guys. So I think that the value of NIL is not just the recruiting stuff, it's keeping players that are on the fence coming back. Speaking of that, I want to talk about Tyrese Proctor. You mentioned Duke,
Yes,
CO.
I did.
If you look at who they have coming in, right, another great recruiting class from John Shire. But to me, the return of Tyrese Proctor, I said this last night on the show, I think he could be a first-team All-American next year. Is that crazy? Am I out of my mind?
Not crazy at all. I mean, you look at a guy with size, skill, who can really manage a game, and I think he's going to go from managing a game to being a bigger contributor on the offensive end, especially when it comes to scoring the basketball. He has that kind of ability. This year, he kind of had to figure it out, right, Matt? Like, they needed somebody to bring it up, reverse the ball, and then kind of make things happen. I think he's going to shoot better percentages next year. He's going to have a year under his belt. Let's keep in mind, too, guys, this guy was supposed to be a senior in high school this year. He's a guy who reclassed up. Now he's going to be the actual age of these freshmen. His body's going to mature a little bit more, and I think you're going to see his best basketball. And then you add some more pieces to the puzzle of what they have. Mackenzie Ibako is one of my favorite guys coming up in next year's class, another shooter who can put it on the deck a little bit. The pieces fit in Duke, and he's going to be the beneficiary because he can spread it out, he can score, just so multifaceted and fits what today's game is.
Well, you said it. The experience factor.
Sure.
Right? Guys like him normally don't come back to school. And now with NIL, like Rob's talking about, that experience factor is only going to help not only him, but their entire program. I think if we had to pick a preseason number one, I think it's hard to pick against them. Obviously, the unknowns of what happens the rest of this
UConn.
tournament with UConn. I like to call in terms of North Carolina. The reason I say that is they've been hardened. They've gone through some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone through adversity. And now nobody's just anointing them the best team in the country. Got to
You
get
don't
rid
have
of
that
some
pressure.
pieces.
It was hard to play with that pressure, right?
Expectations is the hardest thing to deal with in sports. That's why you have such great respect for teams like the dynasties, like the Warriors and the Patriots. It's so hard every single year to do it again when you have those expectations on you. Like I remember being at Florida in 07 after we won it in 06 where we weren't even ranked to start the season. Come back in 07, we're the number one team in the country, and it was every single night. I mean, Joakim Noah went from the number one pick in the draft to 9. Like that, dealing with that is so challenging, and we were talking about it back in November.
And that was before Twitter and Instagram and social
No
media really
question.
existed. I got one more for you guys. Greg, I'm going to you first on this one since you are a
Greg,
certified.
Greg needs some.
Yeah.
We
He needs some
Greg
juice.
going.
We gotta wake him up here.
No, listen, I'll be honest. I've
get
just
him
been
going.
waiting to butt in and just say how horrible the idea of North Carolina being in the top 5 next season again was. But you guys are all on board with it, so we'll let it skate.
I'm not on board. I'm
He's
not
on board.
I'm
It's
on board.
insane.
I'm on
He's on
board with
board.
the idea that they probably should be better without the pressure. Top 5 in the country.
I mean, that was the
McCall.
second name we
McCall.
named.
If North
Hey, there's
Carolina adds MJ
someone check to make
Rice.
sure that bottle of Jim Beam is not cracked, right? Make sure that bottle of Hornitos
If
is
North
not
Carolina adds MJ Rice, if they add a couple of names in that portal,
Are we
they get some-
tampering? Are we tampering live right now?
This is me tampering.
Oh.
Ismail Massoud might come
There you
back.
go. I got
Somebody
one.
talk to RC. He's going to go from Wake to Kansas State to North Carolina. He might have a conniption. You know how RC showed up to his game? He's not showing up to any more games
No.
if Ish goes to North
Absolutely
Carolina.
Who's
So-
your other one?
So you got to answer this one first, since you are a certified Marquette hater.
Yeah.
You did not think that they were a top 25 this team this year. After they won the Big East regular season by 2 games,
That's not
and
true.
they won the Big East tournament by 2 games. You said, and I quote,
How you win a Big
they
East
are-
tournament by 2 games?
They, I don't know. They
Okay, yeah,
did.
just keep
just
going,
go,
keep
just
going,
go with it.
keep
Just
going.
go with it. Just go with it.
Sorry, that's me.
Check that bottle.
Is that because I called you late, or because we wore the same outfit today?
You guys look nice.
Your
Who wore it
jacket's
better,
nicer
though?
than mine.
Nicer? I don't know about that, man. When I sit at home,
I almost
just
drank
think
my mic instead of my coffee. I don't know if anybody caught that.
long story short, you hate Marquette.
Yes.
Why? And can they be a preseason number 1?
love it.
Maybe.
Just
They're bringing
yes.
everybody back. They're bringing
They are
everybody
gonna
back.
That's
bring
a hard
everything
one to
back.
pick
I like them
against.
better next year because of that continuity. I think it's ludicrous that anybody pretended that Tyler Kolek was the best guard in the country this year. That's my beef with Marquette. It just is what it is. I did not vote him on first or second team All-American when we did our little field of 68 votes. He finished consensus first team because I'm sure you voted him first team.
In
I'm
fairness.
sure you voted him first team. And then he went out and got punked by all 3 Michigan State guards who are not that great of
See, this,
With a
this is
broken
coming.
thumb.
This is coming from a guy who's never been to the Big East tournament and how much that means.
Oh, pish
You don't get it. You don't
You
get
need
it.
to go to the-
you don't
you need to-
understand.
you need to drive
You Big
to the
Ten
Big
guys
East
don't
tournament.
understand what a tournament means. You said he needs to drive.
He needs to drive to the Big East
I would
tournament.
pay good money to see Greg Waddell trying to drive in New York City.
Did you clip the drive? Do we have
Oh, we have clips. Listen, we're just the blue collar people here. We don't forget where we came from, right?
respect.
A
lot of respect.
Built from the ground up. It is what it is.
respect.
I have one more question as far as preseason top 25 goes, and I'm going to McCall on this one because you've been gassing this team up all year, and now they're in the Final Four. Florida Atlantic. Obviously, we need to see what happens if they win a national championship. Who knows? But let's say
I should have worn my FAU shirt. I don't know if I still have one somewhere in the archives of my closet from back in 2008 when I was down there. But the biggest challenge, and Coach May has alluded to this, his players are already getting hit.
That's
They're already
crazy.
getting poached. Can they stay together?
McCall, I'm going to steal you.
Can they
We're going to
pass-
go to break. We have a special visitor that's next on the field of 68 at the Final Four.
Today's episode of the Field of 68 After Dark is presented by our partners over at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's Final Four games. And pick'em, all you do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether it's points or rebounds or assists or all of them combined. If you're like me and you think Adama Sanogo is going to go nuts this weekend, pick higher on his points projection, pick higher on his rebounds projection, maybe throw in a lower on Matt Bradley's scoring totals, a higher on Isaiah Wong, whatever it is that you like. Put them all together, and if you hit them all, then you can win as much as 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured out how to use it. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, that's FIELD, to get a 100% deposit match up to $100.
It's the Field of 68 live from the Final Four. We are here at Little Woodrow's Edo. We will be here for the next hour and 45 minutes. Roll through. Come grab a drink with us. One guy who just did roll through, Illinois head coach Brad Underwood. Brad, it's fantastic to see you. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's great to be down here. It's wish we were playing, but we're not. But next best thing, hanging out with you guys. There you go.
Of course. So I'm going to start with this, Brad. This might get a little awkward. I'm just going to call it what it is. I coined the phrase Daddy Brad. I know that Jeff Goodman has made you aware of this. I don't know that you know where this comes from, my friend, so I want to give you the origin story of this.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, thank you. I didn't expect that. I thought you were going to ask for a restraining order, to be honest.
No.
Okay.
There's a lot of people running around Champaign, Illinois, in the state of Illinois with that shirt.
Okay, well, here we go. So here's where it came from. I'm a Michigan basketball fan. You own me. Personally, you own my program, you own my head coach, you own everything about it. That's where it came from. It came over a year ago. It was when that originated. Guess what? Fast forward, my team is desperate for a win, and you just dangle it out there. You rip it away from us at the final seconds. How much fun is it owning the Michigan Wolverines basketball program?
Well,
There's a hard way to politically answer that one.
let me see. How do I go about this? Jawan's a great coach. They got great players. Hunter's one of the best players in the country. And yeah, you said it all. I'm not going to say a word.
Okay, all right.
Hey, I look at you guys a little bit differently than the rest of the Big Ten, and we've had this conversation as to why the Big Ten hasn't advanced through. You guys will play Coleman Hawkins at the Five this year. Obviously, things change. We all know that.
Yep.
What does the Big Ten have to do to kind of advance their seeding in the NCAA tournament and move on to the second weekend? It feels like you guys had that kind of roster to make it happen. What do you have? What does the league have to do in order to improve that?
You know, and we've been planning for life without Kofi, so to speak, for a couple of years, and
Sure.
we knew big wings, and I'll be honest, I studied a lot of Bill Self, you know, wings, big wings
It's a
that
good
are
guy to study.
athletic.
It's a good guy to study.
Yeah, it's you know, whatever, 20 years, 19 Big 12 championships, it's pretty good, but big wings, and knowing that Kofi's unique, and you're probably not ever going to find another one like that. And we did some really good things. I love the way we're playing. That will continue to be what we do.
Yep.
It gives us a lot of flexibility, a lot of versatility. I think our issues more this year were newness and inexperience. We were very young, second youngest team in Power 6. But I do think that it's a great way to play. I think it's the everything I think trends more towards like the NBA, and it trickles down. We eventually catch it that way, and that's the way we're trying to go. It's the way we're trying to recruit, play faster. You know, it was, and I like it. It's fun.
It's fun to watch,
I enjoy
right.
coaching that way.
Yeah, and then you obviously Coleman Hawkins. I feel like I've beat a dead horse with him. I just think he's so talented, and he started to pick up back half of the season, mid-January and forward. Man, he really showed his ability.
Yeah. Coleman's unique. He can guard all 5 spots.
Yeah.
He is a facilitator. He didn't shoot the ball enough. He's the only guy I've ever coached that when I tell him to shoot it, doesn't. And I mean that in a really good way. Sure. He's a really good shooter that is capable of having big nights. I think he had a game with 5 threes. So he can stretch the floor. And he's what I think that we want to continue to build around and build with.
Sure. Guys
who can do that. And, he's fabulous. He had a great year.
Talented.
So, Tio, you're talking about unique players. I think you may have had the most unique player in the country this season. I see you smiling. You know who I'm going to ask you about in Matthew Meyer. I want to know, and look, Brad, you got to be honest with us, all right? This is a safe space. We're all friends here. When you found out that he had to miss a practice because he drank too many Monster energy drinks,
I would
want
love to see that.
Let's pretend we're a fly on the wall in the office when somebody comes in and tells you that he has to miss practice for that.
I literally just said to our staff, I said, I've now seen it all. That's it. That was the one box we hadn't checked.
Right.
But I didn't know it existed. And what's crazy is we've got a lot of people on our staff who drink Monsters, and they do that. And I kind of kid them when they get to the second one. Mm-hmm. That was a lot. What he did was
it like 4 or 5?
Oh no, it was like 6 or 7 at least. Yeah. So we were glad that his heart had not left his chest. But he's that's a new one. That was a new one.
One of a kind, fair to say. I want to ask you about
Hold on, tell him about the Matthew Meyer challenge that you tried.
Oh, yeah, I attempted it right after it happened, by the way. I got through 4, and then I felt like I was having a panic attack, so I stopped. But it was in tribute to him. I mean, I clearly have so much respect for your program, Brad.
So I think he received like 32 cases from Monster after that.
I believe that. I was wondering if an NIL deal was
Does he have any
coming through
left? Does he have any left now?
The next press conference, the next game, I think he took 2 of them to the presser.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was great.
And yeah, he knew how to capitalize on an opportunity in today's world. But he was a great teammate, great player. But that one was a unique experience.
Is
for me.
that the best Matthew Meyer story you have? I know you got some good ones.
That's one of them. Matt's brilliant. He's one of the smartest people I've ever been around, and math is a big factor in his life, and the analytics and the things that he dives into are out there, and so we had a lot of conversations about that. But I've never come across caffeine poisoning. But if you made it to 4, double that, and that's where he was at.
Yeah, well, I certainly wasn't trying to play competitive basketball anytime in a quick vicinity of that. So I alluded to it. I want to ask you about roster building in this portal era, because I think if people made a list nationally of programs that had the most success in the last calendar year, they're going to point to you with Matthew Meyer and with Terrence Shannon. It seems like a very difficult thing, and programs are taking different approaches to how you balance. Do you still hit the high school trail the same way? Do you just go all in on the portal? How do you approach that going forward after the last year that you just had with those 2 guys?
Yeah, I think that you got to have a little balance. And I think that freshmen, the national narrative with freshmen is they're hard. Okay, you start looking, now we're in COVID.
Sure.
And we have the biggest challenges age-wise we've ever had in the sport. We have 23-year-olds or 24-year-olds or in some cases 25-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds. Those guys all have 100-plus games under their belt in most cases. That's a big difference. And not just on the physical side of things, but the experience side. And then freshmen can transfer. Those are all things that go against them. Now, we want to build our program. We say this all the time. We're a development program. But you also have to get old. And our success came when we had guys in our program for a period of time and we became old. So it's a balance. The hardest part is literally not knowing your roster. I think we have to quit asking why kids leave, because there is no explanation. Nothing makes any sense. There are too many factors. Sure. Bottom of the roster guys wanting to play more. Top of the roster guys maybe wanting more NIL. Or more shot attempts, or agents involved, and what that looks like. We have to quit asking why. It's the norm, and it's what's going to happen, and then it's really good for coaches. Right. Nobody talks about that. It's really good for coaches to absolutely go get a need, and to have 1,500 people or 1,800 people, whatever it's going to be, and to say I can go get this guy, and nobody talks about that. I just hope we don't lose the perspective of what's good for the student athlete. And losing credits, not graduating. 1% make it in the NBA. Yep. And I hope that we're not losing perspective on that. And that's where I'm really old school, because I do think there's value in the degree. I love NIL. I embrace it. I think it's great for when the name on the front of the jersey means a lot, and that means you've built up a brand at that institution, and I think that's got great value as well.
Coach, we're in a bit of an unconventional Final Four with San Diego State, with Florida Atlantic, Miami, and UConn being the team that's been there before, obviously. Do you think, I have a theory that the COVID year broadened the talent base. Do you think that's what it is? Do you think some of these teams that don't typically get the national notoriety, the San Diego State, the Florida Atlantic, what do you think is the main root of just more good teams? Do you think it's that? Do you think it's something else?
No, I think it's parity. I think COVID's had a lot to do with that.
Yep.
And I think, when you look at the age of San Diego State's team.
Oh, they're old.
Okay, that they're old. And look at their bodies.
Exactly right.
And go stand them next to a freshman. The top-rated high school recruit playing in the Final Four is like 47. There's no McDonald's All-Americans. Okay? I think that speaks volumes.
Sure.
The other thing that I think is Dutch doesn't get near enough credit for how good his program's been for a long time.
Yep.
And I do want to say that because one heck of a coach. They do what they do on the defensive side. He's the most underrated defensive coach in the country, in my opinion. So it's great to see that. I love the parity. I think this is really good for basketball, that one-bid leagues can have something that they can believe in.
Sure.
That it's not just getting to the tournament, but doggone it, I can make it.
Well, that's the new way to level the playing field, right? It was always three-point shooting. That's the way to the great equalizer in the tournament. No, now you're playing with guys that are 23 and 24 years old.
Absolutely.
Grown adults. What do you say, Tio? Guys with a mortgage.
They got mortgages.
Yeah.
Half of them got mortgages. I mean,
You got AARP cards.
That's right.
You know, but,
Memphis had a 26-year-old.
yeah. I mean, we had
He
Jacob,
could rent cars.
We had Jacob Grandison, who left our program
Went to
after
Duke,
3
yep.
years, went to Duke. He turned 26. And it's just a wide discrepancy of age, and that's a factor.
Yep.
But I do think it's good for the game. You know, I think then you get into the arguments now, should you expand the tournament or not? I don't know all the advantages of doing that. I'm old school enough. I like the exclusivity.
As somebody
I'm
that
with
has
you,
built an
actually.
entire brand based off the idea that there are 68 teams in the tournament, I'm going to say let's leave it.
Yeah, I'm
I don't want to get new mic flags.
I'm exclusive to the old school ways. I think it's just great, and I think it means so much. I don't want it watered down or less popular. I think the popularity of the NCAA tournament stems from the fact that it is exclusive, and now especially a 16 can beat a 1.
Yeah.
And we're not shocked anymore. We're not. We shouldn't be.
Yep.
And so I think it's great for the game of basketball.
Do you think there's going to be I'm sorry, Greg.
No, you're good.
Do you think there's going to be a point in time where we see a return of power to the freshmen once this COVID stuff is finished, or do you feel like the transfer portal is just going to keep teams old?
I don't have the answer to that because I don't know what the NBA is going to do.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
But hypothetically speaking, if they stayed the same way.
If they stayed the same, I think there's always going to be value in those guys. But I do think the portal has changed the way the masses,
Sure.
not necessarily always the blue blood, so to speak. I do think the way the masses in college basketball are going to change is that we ultimately want to find a freshman who's transferred and can't transfer again,
Right.
and those become today's modern age freshmen. You know,
That's an
you
interesting point, yeah.
get them for 3 years, and you build with those guys. And again, I'm always going to go back to the academic side. We can't lose perspective. 1% of those guys are going to make it in the NBA.
Yeah.
And getting a degree, not losing credits. The portal has created some unintended some inequalities. You know, and some schools have to have a lot of credits to graduate from.
Yep.
So you can't transfer. Some take 3 hours and you can get in. It's just a wide spectrum. So I do think people are going to try to stay old, though, and try to avoid transfers. So that poses some problems for freshmen.
Yeah, so you mentioned how the beauty of the tournament, especially this year, is that some of the smaller conferences can have hope now, right, in this era. I'm a Big Ten guy, as you know.
Yep.
I need some hope right now, Brad, because we've been struggling in the NCAA tournament collectively. What is it about this league? I mean, I think we're one of the most competitive leagues, clearly, top to bottom. I think you go down the list, like the 11th best team in the Big Ten, I think just would absolutely destroy the 11th best team in any other conference in this sport.
Yeah.
But that's not helping us advance further to the point that we get the national respect we deserve. What do you make of that?
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. I think the fact that we are so good and that every night is a sellout crowd on the road or at home. Every game is a little different feel than just a game. It's an event. Basketball is king in that league, and it's special. It's a different vibe, and that's not to criticize any others. But I think that 20 games is a real hard 20 games. You can go to Lincoln, Nebraska, and play in a sellout crowd. Obviously, Penn State was the oldest team in the country this year. They were really, really good. Every game is hard, and it's not that it's not in other conferences. I just think that it's almost unique what's happened to us in the tournament. I don't make as big a deal about it as everybody wants to. I think you just have to keep getting there. I think that we're stylistically trying to change a little bit. I think there were.
It was like Penn State played differently. You guys played differently. Everybody else covered ball screens the same.
Yeah,
Had the aircraft carrier in the middle.
It's.
Am I wrong in thinking so?
No, and I think everybody can say that. I mean, we played
Sure.
with one of the best, with Kofi for 3 years, and there are some, as great as he is, there were some challenges with
Sure.
that. I mean that in a way what you could do, and we wanted to be dominant, and he was.
Right.
But there was also some things that caused problems and matchups, and in the tournament that hurt us. We've had a tough draw for us in the last 2 years, getting, in my opinion, a very underseeded Houston team as a 5 a year ago, and then Arkansas this year, and those teams athletically hurt us. But again, I think that's one of the areas that we're trying very hard at Illinois to.
That's a perfect example of why evaluating on just tournament results is a horrible way to
It's a
evaluate
horrible
college
way.
basketball.
I'm glad you brought it up,
It
'cause
comes
it
down
is.
to matchups. Maybe in one game you got someone that gets in foul trouble. Maybe you have someone that sprains an ankle. Kansas lost a game where their starting point guard sprained his ankle in the first half because he stepped on a photographer.
And their coach wasn't there.
And their coach wasn't there.
Yeah,
And we're going to
and-
judge them based off that. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, there's a reason why the tournament is the best way to determine a champion, and it is the worst way to determine who the best team is.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it not fun, but it's just not going to tell you the best team.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless UConn wins this year, then we know.
And I think the one thing you've got to always look at is it goes in cycles. Let's talk Jay Wright's early career.
Sure.
Let's
Yeah.
talk, Bill Self losing to Bucknell and Bradley, and you just have to keep getting in. And I think that's where one game, and FDU, incredible season, incredible run. Where do they finish in the Big Ten every night? I know when I was at Stephen F. Austin, we won 29 straight games, won 32 games on the season, and if we played in the Big Ten every night, we would not have been in the tournament. That's real.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of the NCAA tournament and what makes it special. It's that one night you can go beat anybody.
Yep.
And you have to play. And I think that it happens to matchups. I think our league is fine. I think next year we can sit here and have 2 teams in.
Sure.
Or 3. It's that good. And the coaches are that good. The players are that good. The Big Ten was young this year, which is very rare.
Yep.
A few years ago, Hunter and Adam Miller were the only 2 guys that started every game in Big Ten play.
Yeah.
Only 2. And this year there was a plethora of them. So it all goes in cycles.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate that. We'll leave you with this, then we'll let you get out of here. We've took too much of your time
No, you're
already.
good.
You coined my favorite phrase of the college basketball season this
Oh.
year, booty ball.
Yeah.
I got to ask you about that. I mean, how did that moment come together where you termed it that, and what did you mean? Was that endearing? Was it loving? Was it hate? What
They
was
Barclayed you. They
It was-
Barclayed you.
yeah. It's literally in respect to Pickett and how doggone hard he was to guard. And he had a 14-second possession against us where he caught the ball at the three-point line and he just started backing in. And he just backed in, he used his butt, and you can't guard it out there.
Yep.
And the NBA has the 5-second Barkley rule where you can't do that. College basketball has no rule. So he bootied his way and bullied his way to the front of the rim, and then you had to go decide if you could guard it. And it was great on Micah's part to take advantage of that.
Sure.
We had a lot of that develop in the Big Ten this year, to be quite honest. But we also, I think, should have the rule that the NBA has.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
And one of my biggest frustrations with basketball is we're the only country in the world that does not play by the same set of rules. And I wish we would do that from youth all the way through. It's worked pretty good in the Euro world, in European market. And I don't know why we don't do that. But that is one rule I would like to see changed. But man, Pickett was a monster, playing booty ball, and you couldn't stop it. There's no legal way to defend it without going to double team him or giving him a layup.
My favorite part is now we've turned bootied into a verb.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah,
Bootied is a verb now.
I like
It's
it.
awesome.
I'm going to do my best to get Brad Underwood on the Field of 68's marketing department soon. We'll see about that. I know you're a busy man, but you're pretty damn good at this job, Brad. as you
Well,
are
I
many
appreciate
The
that.
new T-shirt is "Don't get bootied."
Don't get bootied and put Daddy Brad on the
There we go.
backside or whatever. It might sell in Illinois.
There we go. All right, Brad Underwood, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next on the Field of 68 from the Final Four.
You guys ever get tired of trying to prove that you won an argument, that your takes weren't hot, they were just right? Well, I have an answer to all of your problems. Vaulted is a new sports prediction app that turns your opinions into facts. You can store all of your predictions and hot takes in your own vault now and forever. Challenge your friends, keep track of the results, and prove that you are, in fact, the smartest one in the room. Vaulted is also releasing a Final Four competition called their Last Four Pool. What amounts to a hot take challenge, it has a $5,000 prize pool. Who doesn't like free money? I like free money. So if you like free money like me, then go and download the Vaulted app at the link below, sign up for your free 3-month trial, and store your predictions now and forever.
Brett Underwood.
Brad Underwood, how about that, man? One of my favorite guys in the country, always an entertaining interview. We're back, Field of 68, Final Four, live from Houston, live from Little Woodrow's, by the way. Edo is the location we are at. We'll be here until, 2 p.m. Central? That's how long we'll be here. So come grab a beverage. Come do what Brad Underwood did. Stick your butt down. Let's talk about booties, right, Theo?
Get bootied.
Get bootied.
Don't get bootied.
Get bootied.
We turn booty into a verb.
RC wasn't ready to come out the booty.
No, he wasn't. RC wasn't ready for the booty.
He was not ready to leave with booty.
Y'all didn't warm me up for that one.
No, we don't want. RC didn't want to be bootied. All right, next.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Please, next.
We welcome Randolph
Not
Childress onto the show, RC himself. We welcome Carter Elliott onto the show, Terrence Oglesby right here, Greg Waddell, Dagan Hughes behind the scenes on the X's and O's. Guys, we're going to look ahead again. We were doing some preseason top 25 stuff. Now I want to go back to looking ahead, but I want to talk about potential decisions. NBA decisions that could really swing things for a program, for an entire conference, for the entire country next year. Who do you have your eyes on as the most important stay or go decision in college basketball, RC?
Wow. We've gotten Proctor. I'm going to say two guys because I think one will leave, but Filipowski and Lively, I think the decision on both of those guys. I think Filipowski may lean toward leaving, but his draft stock is kind of up and down. You don't know where he's going to go. So I think if he were to come back, I think he'd be even higher. But I think Derek Lively's the anomaly here. I think he should come back. I think there's more he could do and play more. But if he does, then with that team, with Proctor's news and Jeremy Roach and those guys, I think they could be pretty damn good.
What would worry me with Filipowski is kind of what happened to Matthew Hurt. Do you guys remember how hyped up Matthew Hurt was in year 1 and year 2, and then it just kind of got stale, and then he goes into second? Like, that's the thing that would scare me. If I was Kyle Filipowski, I would go ahead and go. Truth be told, I would go ahead and go.
No, I mean, if you're a first-round draft pick, you should go.
Yeah.
I mean, you should go. There's no question about that. I'm not saying that. I just think he's fluctuating on boards. As long as you're first round, I'm advocate for you to pack your bags, get out of there.
Get out of there.
So the good people at home should know this. If they don't, I'm sitting by two professional basketball players here. They've played for large sums of money in their lives. How would you go about the decision of this? Because it's a different decision than it was when you guys played, right? Like, there's so many more factors that go into it.
First round, you go.
First round.
That's it?
Like, it's that simple. If you're first round lock,
You're not going back with a number, NIL-wise now? Like,
not if you're first round.
No, because it's a multi-year deal within the first round. Like that's the big thing that kind of throws things on its head a little bit. The fact that you can get it for multiple seasons. NIL, that's usually 1 year and out,
The
right?
truth
Unless you're
is-
Nigel Pack, which he wasn't going to get drafted anyway. Good for him. Hey,
That's my
Carter.
point.
Did you guys like school that much? That's what I'm saying. If I got a second round grade, I'm out. Y'all like going to
Really?
class?
But it's non-guaranteed
No,
contract.
no.
You get over there
No.
and you get
okay,
lost.
what about with two-way contracts?
Well,
No.
you get lost like I did.
No.
Truth be told,
No.
you get lost like I
The
did.
odds are against you so much when you do that. You're better off if you're a second round draft pick. You'll make more money going back to school.
Yeah.
And truthfully, the guys who make the most money, I hate to say it, most of them aren't NBA guys anyway. That's why they're getting the most money to come back to school. They're making that decision to say, hey, I'm going to come back because they're going to make more money from going back to school than they were going to the NBA. NBA first-round draft picks don't come back to school. They don't. The only one that probably did that recently was probably Taquavian Smith last year. He was the only one for NC State.
I would say
he was
Tyrese
fringe.
Proctor turning
He
it
was
down
fringe.
this year, too.
I think you could argue it didn't help his stock either after this year, right?
Maybe not.
I don't know.
Usually it doesn't, but it didn't hurt him.
I mean, he had a good year, right?
didn't hurt him.
But, yeah. How much does the school matter? Like, because now, I mean, the transfer element is also here, right? If you're a potential first-round pick at a school that is not a traditional powerhouse, are your options just, hey, I'm going to get paid here because I'm not going to get paid at my school, or tamper? T.O. was doing a little tampering a little bit ago here. I don't know, guys.
No,
Like-
that wasn't tampering. He's from MJ Rice is from North Carolina. That's the only reason I insinuated that.
Okay. Hey, I got nothing against tampering. This is a pro-tampering side
He's
of
in
the
the
table
portal, so it's
right
free
here.
now.
I'm all
That's
about
it.
tampering.
Right.
I'm all about tampering.
Pro-tampering right here.
Big pro tampering. But wait, there's one guy that I think that needs to be mentioned, though, is a big one that might come back, and it's Tubelis. Because you have an All-American level candidate. And I honestly, in my list, in my personal All-American list, Tubelis is the first team All-American in my
Do you think
eyes.
he's going to be able to do it without Kerr Kriisa?
I honestly think he might enjoy himself a little more with Kerr Kriisa, to be honest. Like, he'll be the show.
hey.
He'll be the show. Kerr Kriisa was the show. whether
But
he was the best player or not.
technically, he's on an I-20, so he shouldn't get NIL money, so it shouldn't matter,
They
Carter.
Western
Don't-
that thing
No, no,
straight to.
We'll lose that paperwork.
Remember that
Bills.
now. He doesn't get NIL money because he's Lithuanian now.
Hey, they're
so
sending their Western
Crazy
Union.
rule, by the way.
They're sending that Western Union directly to Latubus Ritas. And-
Avitas, they give it to Avitas.
Yeah, they're giving it to Arvidas, and he's going to have to funnel it to his mother.
we're okay
That
with
man's
that.
getting paid. Like, don't be naive.
We're okay with that here. Also, how dare you diss my boy Kerr Kriisa? I felt a little kick under the table there.
I like Kerr Kriisa, man.
In doses, right? I
In
mean,
doses.
you can't have
Hey,
too much of it.
He goes to Xavier. He gets back to what he can do.
Yeah.
Runs up and down. A lightning rod.
Yeah.
Sean can temper it a little bit. I wouldn't be mad at that. He's visiting other places. West Virginia, that would be an interesting one. Nebraska, he was just there as well.
Key
It's gonna be interesting.
Tominaga. Tominaga and Kerr Kriisa.
and Kerr Kriisa, funnest backcourt in the country.
Oh,
that
the
happens.
electric factory.
Yeah.
Not productive, maybe, but going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be the funnest 2 and 18 team in Big Ten history.
That'd be like you and me playing pickup game on the same team.
Neither one of us are passing half court to get the
Whoever
defense.
comes across half is jacking it.
And I'm watching that.
Yeah,
I'm watching that.
Speaking of which, are we doing the media game? I know you put on a show last year. That's what reports
I'm playing
said.
Saturday. I'm playing Saturday.
It's a thing? Is
Yeah,
RC
it's a
lacing
thing.
them up or no?
I got the email from
Never.
Pete.
Okay.
See what? Come on.
I said never.
I know you got the kicks in the
I
back of the
retired for never. I got golf shoes in my bag. That's it. I can't play number horse.
Is this an invite-only
MACL.
thing, T.O.? Is that what it is at this point? Last year
I
it felt
got
a
the
little more
invite.
open. There was group texts involved. I was on them. I have no idea why.
You're not playing?
I'm not playing.
No,
I got a guy right next to me who wants to prove something.
I got an
I'll pull
email.
my men's league film
I got
up.
an email this morning. That was it. That's all I know.
All right, Carter,
I don't even know
you
who
said
else
you're
on
here
the
to
email.
prove something?
Yeah. I'll have T.O. forward me that email. I'm going to need that. I'm going to need the invite.
Did you
All
bring
right.
your shoes?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me figure this out.
Always. Wherever I go.
See what happens. What's your player comp? Your 6'7" Boogie Cousins, attitude-wise, not game-wise?
Yeah, I'm like a Boris Diaw skill set with the DeMarcus Cousins mindset.
Oh, really?
I can sometimes be a little agitated, but I can be special as well.
I don't know that that's good, honestly. All right, one name that I had, I can't believe nobody mentioned this yet. Isn't it just Zach Edey? Isn't that the most important stay or go decision?
He's
Because if
coming
he's
back.
back, Purdue's #1 in the country preseason, right?
He's coming back.
You think it's done deal?
I think he should. How much success is he going to have in the NBA?
I think he'll
They're
have
gonna
more
pull
than
that
people
ma-
think.
I think
I really
you
do. It
are-
goes back to
I
money.
think you're wrong.
Why?
Because there's a lot of 7'3", 7'4" dudes in the NBA that have a hard time guarding ball screens. Like, dude, there's a difference in guarding Tyson Walker in a ball screen and guarding
But
Chris Paul or
You can't
anybody.
throw him out there for like 10 minutes? Just like, I mean, Boban.
You
Hey,
guys
Boban-
just want him
Boban-
out of the Big
Boban-
Ten.
I'm saying
Stop
Boban,
this
baby.
nonsense. They
No,
just
I'm-
want him out of the Big Ten. That's all this
I
is.
kind of do. I do.
That's
I'm
it.
not-
No comment. No comment.
No, I do.
No, look, he's going to make a good living wherever he wants to go. But like,
a
why
different
wouldn't
league.
he? Why
Nobody
wouldn't he?
plays
The
that
NBA
way.
is the NBA. People don't understand. It's so hard to put into words how good NBA players are now. Like Randolph, one of the greatest college players of all time, played in the NBA for a while. Like, he knows. The league has just gotten better in the 5 years since he retired.
Better put a 1 in front of that.
Round up.
But
Close to a 2.
but the NBA is so good now.
No. The guard
It's
play is
like-
so strong.
And the guards are
the drop
6'10".
coverage stuff you get away with in college and challenging guys mid-range and all that kind
Guys,
of
two guards
stuff.
are 6'7", 6'8".
No.
Two guards.
No.
It's impossible. It's such a different. It's different. I don't know how to put that. It's just different.
So if he does come back then, if it's the done deal you guys say it is, where would you put Purdue? Given the way their season ended, given how they were this dominant #1 team in the country for much of the year, are they your #1 next year?
Who would they leave? Who would they lose right now? Both the freshmen come back.
Not really
I
anybody.
think they lose David Jenkins. That's it.
Yeah.
Put them in the top 3. Put them in the top
Even,
3.
even given the way the season ended.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
They're top 5.
Yes. They're one.
We
It's
alluded.
regular season. too.
They're one.
It's
Yeah,
regular season.
We alluded to it with Brad Underwood a second ago. Like, it's unfair to judge a team on one tournament game. Like, that team was spectacular
Is it fair to judge a coach off 3 consecutive 13, 15, 16 losses?
Now, that part's fair. But that being said, like, that
on,
team
man.
is good.
Take it easy on Painter.
I like Payne. I
He's a
think
great coach. He
But
just
it's
needs
the
that one
danger-
run
It's
to
the
get over
danger
the
of the
hump.
tournament. And when you have a legitimate big that's not very mobile, that can't switch. That team forced them to do something that he hadn't done all year. They had to switch 5, and he had to guard on the perimeter when he hadn't left the paint all year long.
Yeah.
And that was just what happened to him.
I
He's
also-
guarding a 6'3" guard on the three-point line.
I also don't put that on Edey.
No, it's not his fault.
That was a game where those freshmen, and I kind of wanted Brad to talk about it a little bit, the fact that Lawyer and Smith hadn't seen pressure and traps and anything all season long, and then all of a sudden now they're going to play in the NCAA tournament against a small team who's junking it up, who's trapping in the full court. They didn't even, half the time, like, Painter would have to call timeout, tell those guys to get in the middle. Like, it's a hard balance between going straight from Big Ten play, where everybody plays similarly, to going and playing some of these smaller teams that have to junk it up because of the lack of resources. Some of that, and I'm not going to say lack of talent. That's not what I'm saying. The lack of size, and they have to do things differently. Big Ten doesn't do anything differently.
Right.
I thought the pressure bothered everybody else but Zach Edey on their team.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
The guards
I'm out of coffee.
unwillingly
Tough.
turned down
Matthew
shots.
Meyer would never.
You know, those guys turned down shots and didn't make shots. I mean, that's the bottom line. He did his job. He was dominant, force he had always been. They had looks. They didn't take them. And, they went down. I mean, it's going to be that way. Their Achilles heel all year long is going to be, again, for big can stretch him out, pick and pop 5, which not a lot of people have, but
Right.
mid-majors and lower-level D1 schools have.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting because those issues will still be there with that team. You hope the backcourt gets a lot better. I think they will.
They will.
Freshmen
They'll be
typically
right
do
there
get
again.
better, right, Cart?
They do. Yeah, of course they do.
But
And they had a great freshman year.
If I'm a transfer,
Great?
if I'm a transfer wing,
Great.
that's where I'm looking.
They were a starting.
Yeah.
back-
'Cause
they
I'm
were-
gonna get shots.
They were
So,
a
okay.
starting backcourt for a top 5 team all year. That's a
They
great
shouldn't
freshman
have
year.
ever been top 5, though.
Yes,
they
they
shouldn't have
should
ever been
have.
top
Yes,
5.
they should have.
So I threw this hypothetical at him on our 18-hour drive here, Blue Collar Podcast. That's what we are, ladies and gentlemen. If Purdue hypothetically could take their team that they have for next year, and it is what it is. Let's see, they're probably preseason number 1. Who knows? Zach Edey's back. Everybody's back. Or they could get Zach Edey back, and they could take Florida Atlantic's entire team, other than their center Golden. Give me every Florida Atlantic guard in a Purdue uniform next year with Zach Edey. Which one are you taking?
Well, that's a Final Four team.
Yeah.
One of them is.
This year.
That might be a national champ.
One of them is. All right. I'm just saying.
Couple more shooters.
I'm here to tamper a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
You're starting stuff.
It is what it is.
The instigating stuff.
It is what it is. Instigate me? Never. RC, never. All right. We are, 45 minutes into our show here live at Little Woodrow's. Coming up, we're going to play Transfer Matchmaker. Speaking of instigate, we're going to do some more instigating in the portal, guys. That's next on the Field of 68 from the Final Four.
You know what the best part about the end of the college basketball season is? That signifies the start of spring, the start of summer, the start of hot weather, the start of late nights, the start of weekends on the water, and the best way to stay refreshed during the summer months is with Hornitos Ranch Water, a premium sparkling cocktail with a balance of freshly squeezed lime paired with smooth tequila notes. Hornitos Tequila is a 100% agave premium tequila from the lowlands of Jalisco. It's specifically from the town of Tequila. Originating from one of the most historic distilleries, Hornitos paved the way for all future tequila brands, starting with the tequila name. An official partner of the Houston Astros, you can buy Hornitos Ranch Water in a can, or you can come to Houston's best sports bar, Little Woodrow's in Edo, and get a fresh, handmade cocktail with Hornitos Tequila. There's nothing better on a warm spring day than Hornitos Ranch Water and a Houston Astros baseball game. To the Field of 68. I guess we're officially the Field of 68 before dark right now. The Field of 68
it's
afternoon.
nice to be on before dark. You guys keep me up, man.
Yeah, the field-
12:30 at night, man. The other night, Fanta wouldn't stop.
The Field of 68 cold
Fanta
beverages.
would not stop the other night.
My question is, I want to know where my Hornitos Ranch Water is. I ordered one. Our server, Greg Waddell, he hasn't brought over our beverages yet. We need some beverages. It's afternoon.
I had
We
mine
can start
already.
drinking, right?
I'm already started.
5 o'clock somewhere.
Last night we let RC have a couple of ranch waters, and he decided to say that UConn was not a blue blood. He decided to get in a fight with UConn fans, and we officially, how about this, Carter? We officially have a date set.
Yes.
Where RC is going to have to wrestle some Twitter guy named Hurley Mania on a Ferris wheel. This is happening.
You know what I love?
I don't know how we got
You know
there.
what I love, though, about the Twitter guys that hide behind their Twitters? You know what I mean? And they put like a fake picture up there that's
Yes.
not really themselves because they don't really want people to know who they are. I love that's like my favorite thing ever.
It doesn't bother me. I don't love the chatter as long as it don't get disrespectful.
I mean, you didn't say anything wrong though, RC.
I
They're
did.
not-
That's
they're
why it
not-
didn't
they're
bother
not a
me.
blue blood.
I
And
don't-
it's not disrespect. Why they gotta take it as disrespect? You're not a
Hey,
blue
man,
blood.
I'm here for all of it.
Not
I'm here for
everybody-
all of
Hey,
it.
look.
I done told it. I'm here for all of
If you
it.
don't engage with them, they get upset, they get their feelings hurt, and then they start
Hey.
killing you on Twitter.
Hey,
And it's-
I'm going to
I'm here
defend.
for
I'm
it.
going to defend my UConn guys here.
No, you
they're
can't.
they're riled up, but I do think that like about 60% of it is just kind of joking a kid. Like I don't think they're taking it that serious. They did. We did have a nice. We did have a nice Photoshop of
It was.
of
It was. It
RC
was
turned
hilarious.
into an
It was
actual
hilarious.
clown.
They were actually funny as hell, so I'm for it. But I'm still
Yeah.
for it. I don't even know what I signed up for. But bring it.
Hey, you're in.
I'm
You're
in. Let's do it.
You're not afraid to compete.
No.
Yeah,
Let's go.
you're not afraid
Whatever.
to compete.
I like my
RC's up here for it. All right, we want to play a little transfer portal matchmaker. This is one of my favorite games to play in the off season. I want to start.
don't get us tampered now. They got to be in the
They're
portal.
in the portal.
In the portal.
They're
They have
in
to
the,
be
they're in the portal already.
Damn it, I'm ready to tamper.
All right, before I do that, McCall, I want you to give me the list of the 5 most attractive players that have not transferred yet that you would go after if you were currently a head coach. All right, let's start. I want to start with Caleb
great.
Love. All right, you guys each get 30 seconds. If you were Caleb Love's advisor, if you were his NIL agent, right, where are you telling him to go? Where do you think he should play, Carter?
See, I don't know if this is going to be popular, but I say go to Spokane and play for Mark Few and Gonzaga. Because I think that there's guard opportunities with that team. I don't think that Hickman's played up to the level. I don't think that Sal's has played up to the level. That's a conference where he can get a lot of shots up. I think he can work through some things. And look, the narrative on Caleb is a little bit too tough for me. Everyone acts like he's just an awful player. This is a guy who had 30 in a tournament game. Like, he's not a bad player.
Not a game, a half,
And a half. Like, you send
and
him
not just a game. In the Final
in
Four.
the Final
game.
Four. Send him to Gonzaga. Let him play. Maybe Efton Reed comes along. That's a nice little 1-2 punch. I like that.
He ended Coach K's career that still deserves some
Go
respect.
get some shots up in Spokane.
Where are you sitting,
He
Caleb
needs
Love?
a fresh start.
Yes.
He needs a fresh start. Carolina needs a fresh start. I think it's healthy for everybody involved. Where should he go? I mean, I like the Gonzaga pick. I think that's a good place for him to go. I think he's gonna. They took some guards this year. Malachi Smith ended up down the stretch playing better for him. I don't mind Kentucky. I don't mind Kentucky because I think
You said that last night.
I think Cal will do a great job with him.
Here's
Been
my
humbled.
question.
Cal's going to coach him and coach him hard.
Here's my
I don't-
question.
I don't dislike Kentucky.
If you have Caleb Love, DJ Wagner, and Robert Dillingham
take
on
your pick.
on the same team, if you have those 3 guys on the same team, do you even need to have your 2 other players, or you just let those 3
But you're
guys take their
relying
own
on
shots?
his experiences you're going to draw on as
Yeah.
opposed to them high school freshmen. You know, the guys
No
coming in,
doubt.
the freshmen. You're going to draw on his
doubt.
experience. He has a tournament run experience that you're going to draw on. I said that yesterday, so I'm going to pick someone else. You can see him going back playing for Gates at Mizzou, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him somewhere like Kansas.
Kansas.
Yes. Because again, I think he needs to get a fresh start and a coach that'll.
I
demand
actually
stuff out
really
of him.
like the Kansas
But
call.
I think Kansas
'Cause they need-
fits him.
they need a lead guard.
They need a guy like him, a bucket getter, and we'll see what he gets. I mean, they're always adapt.
Hey, if he ain't gonna listen to Bill Self, he ain't gonna listen to nobody. So
Or Cal.
If he ain't gonna listen to either one of them, he ain't gonna play.
yeah,
I mean, that's just call it what it is.
yep. All right, next on the list, I'm gonna go with Sahvir Wheeler, Kentucky transfer. His name is in the portal. We've seen him be an all-SEC guy. We've also seen the problems with having a dude that can't shoot as your starting point guard. RC, I'm going to you first on this one.
You know, I would have said VCU. I think he needs to go down a level. I think he needs to play a certain style of 94 feet, getting after and pressuring the ball. So I think for him, it's more so a style of basketball, 94 feet pressuring and pace. I think he struggles in the half court. He needs shooters. So I would have said Rhodes at VCU. He's no longer. I don't know if he'll take that style with him to Penn State. So that would be more the fit necessarily than the school. Depends on the style. I think that's where he needs to go.
I like the pick. I like the Penn State pick. Rhodes is going to need
Yes.
players. They're
Yes.
going to play that style. It's always been his style,
Yes.
whether he was at
And
Rice,
he
whether
fits
he
it.
was at VCU. Look at what Ace Baldwin did. Ace Baldwin became a better shooter throughout his career. He was not always a knockdown guy. He developed into the A-10 player of the year. Rhodes is going to need players. I think that's the perfect place for him for that style.
That is a great fit, and I don't want to go 3 for 3, so I'm going to say somebody else. And I honestly don't know if it has any meaning behind it, but I'm all behind the Will Wade at McNeese State train, and I want to get Sahvir Wheeler there. That's all, and I really don't have any reason
You ever been
for
there?
it.
That's a tough place to go, man. That's
Wait,
tough.
you're sending him from
You're
Kentucky to
sending
McNeese State?
from Kentucky?
They'll be back. Will
No
Wade's here.
disrespect to Coach Wade. Man, come on now.
Is
I love
McNeese
Coach
State?
Wade.
Is that
He's
the
not
new?
going
Is
down
that the new
far.
FAU?
He's not dropping that far. No way.
No, but I love Will Wade.
Okay,
That's all that
fair
is.
enough.
That's all that
It's an
is.
Why?
aggressive pick.
But I do
Will
think
Wade.
he needs to drop levels.
All right, here we go. Next one. The homie Kerr Kriisa. Headband Kerr. McCall, you get this one first. Where are you sending him?
The Florida Gators? Pretty good.
You're fitting well there.
The alma mater, baby. We need some players down there. We need some players at the alma mater. Listen, I'd love to see him. To be honest, I'd love to see him at a Big East school.
Who's that?
Kerr. I'd love to see him get up and down the floor with somebody. That style of play, his ability to advance, pass, and find.
Can he be a solo starting point guard on a team that plays for a national championship?
Why can't he go to St. John's?
Ain't
Wants
that-
to play fast, wants to advance the ball up the floor, is in good shape.
He's got a
Coach
guard.
Patino, he's got a guard.
He's got a guard.
He's got a guard.
And can he guard?
No.
Can he guard at the level that Patino's going to need him and want him to guard?
Probably not. I know where I want him to go, and this might be a little Big Ten bias, but I would love to see him at Nebraska. I think he'd be great in that system. They get up and down. Him and Kisei Tominaga, that's just fun. That's just
That
two
would be
guys
fun.
who want to get up and down, get a lot of shots up. And honestly, the Big Ten needs a player like Kerr Kriisa. We need a little energy boost into our conference. Whether it be Caleb Love going to Indiana or Kerr going to Nebraska, we need a little energy boost in the conference. A
You know
little
where
something
else
different.
I just could see him being a good fit, and they're going to need some players. Texas.
Yes.
Texas is going to need some
Oh,
guards.
that's actually a good
Marcus
call.
Carr leaving. Texas is going to need some players. I think those fans would get around him. That arena is going to be rocking again. Finally took the interim tag. I think it was you the other night on the field of 68 that
Yeah,
got the
I wish-
interim
You were the
tag.
first one. Hey,
I
you
think
let that
gotta
bandwagon.
You got to take it
You
off.
let that bandwagon. Did RT give you your
you gotta
4%?
take it off.
Did RT give you your 4%?
No, you know what? I didn't need it. I did call it around, though. I reached out to Jerry Wainwright and talked to Jerry Wainwright about that, who he worked with him at Fresno, and told him, I said, listen, tell him that I've been screaming it all year. So congratulations to him, and finally for Texas for doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Can I make a prediction on Kerr? It was a school that nobody's mentioned yet. Bob Huggins, West Virginia.
Another, but see,
Mountaineers.
you guys are tagging
That's
him
just
as
my
defensive coaches.
That's just my prediction. I'm not saying that's the best fit or C. I'm just making a prediction. I'm making a prediction. All right. Kel'El Ware. Kel'El Ware? How do you say it?
Blue
Kel'El
blood.
Ware? You think he should go to Louisville? Or you think he's going to Louisville? RC knows something. RC knows something. Are you breaking news? Are you breaking news?
I'm
Break
not
it.
breaking any
Break it.
news. You asked me where I think he
inside
was going to
track.
go. I think with the way he was recruited and what he was touted as, I just see him going to a blue blood. Whether it's Kentucky, whether it's
That's actually interesting because I'm curious both of your opinions on this because we just had Brad Underwood on here, and one of the things that he said is what he looks for in the portal right now are elite freshmen that have transferred that cannot transfer again, where you know you're going to be able to get 3 years out of them.
Have to.
Is Kel'El fits that?
Yes.
He fits that bill.
Yeah, no question. There's another guy in this building right now that has a philosophy on transfers, and that's Mark Schmidt from St. Bonaventure. You look at what he does in terms of the transfer portal. He never takes guys from a higher level and brings them down to the A-10. He doesn't do it. He gets guys that are hungry, that want to transfer up and prove that they can play in the A-10. Prime example, Kyrell Luke, Holy Cross, Patriot League Freshman of the Year, wants to transfer up and see if he can do it. So every coach kind of has their own philosophy on the transfer portal. That's very interesting because kids are going to be hungry when they come there. They're not going to feel like they are owed all the shots or all this
Yep.
stuff. It's interesting, and everybody's got their own philosophy.
I don't buy the rule of the one-time transfer thing now. I just think that they can somehow come up with some type of petition or something and get out of school. So I'm not buying that.
The NCAA was trying to get rid of the waivers.
I'm not buying that.
There are going to be waivers?
There's going to be waivers.
There's going to be some waivers.
All right, I got one for you, Carter. Where are you sending Posh Alexander? Where's he going?
You mentioned West Virginia. They need a point guard that actually plays defense and plays full court. I kind of like that fit more. I like that fit more than Kerr Kriisa. I mean, that's a guy. When Posh is in shape, he's got to be in shape. That's key. When he's in shape.
What are you saying?
Sometimes you visit the cafe a couple too many times as a college student. You know, a little couple 15 pounds get up on you in the semester. It happens.
No, you know a lot.
I'm huge.
You know a lot about that.
I know a lot about that. I fluctuated a lot in college. What I'm saying is,
in college,
he could.
I was about to say in college.
I'm sorry. I digress. I'm sorry.
Or see, I can reach you from this side of the table. I'm letting you know that right now. I can't reach you, but I'm saying in that system, a defensive point guard, I think that he could excel in that role.
I agree.
Way more than Kerr Kriisa could with West Virginia.
I like it.
Not bad. Not bad. I don't know. Dana Dingle's AAU coach. Maybe he sends him back to the alma mater in UMass. Who knows? I don't know. But
UMass?
I don't know.
I don't think
in
Posh
the
goes
Northeast,
down.
but I like the West Virginia pick. I think that's
You know, it's
good
a
one.
shame. I think he would have been great at St. John's.
I thought if given a chance, I thought he would have been the ideal guard that Pitino would have won. He must have just dug himself in such a hole.
No, what probably
someone
happened
else
was
dug-
like
or
someone else dug a hole.
No,
Someone else dug a
he,
hole
it was
for him.
what probably happened. This is my guess: is that he could do whatever he want when Mike Anderson was there, and then Rick Pitino came in and he's like, "Wait, we got what? What AM practices? I need to run how many miles? I need to be in what shape?
Yeah.
We
You
got,
want me down to-
individual instruction every day.
Yeah.
You want me down to what pounds?
Yeah.
No, this ain't it, Coach. I gotta go. I gotta go.
It's a bit much if you're not used to it. And I know exactly what he's dealing with.
Yeah.
But
do?
Patino does it. His staff does it. So he's not asking you to do anything that he doesn't do, or he's not demanding of his staff.
He's the one in the gym.
And he's
not
in the
just
gym.
sending his assistant coaches in
Yeah,
there. He's in there.
and he's doing the off the court sacrificing. The whole staff is. So it's unfortunate he didn't work. I thought it was an ideal fit for him. I thought he was going to excel.
What about
All right.
Seton Hall?
That could work too. I don't know if I'm just thinking about transferring from St. John's to Seton Hall.
Yeah.
Do you think St. John fans would melt down the way that Providence fans have melted down with everybody
That would be
has
funny.
left
The Big
Providence?
East is so messy. It would just be the messiest.
Oh, it's so
kind.
messy.
just
I
the
love
messiest-
it.
the
I love
messiest
it.
college
I love
of all
it.
time. Just
Will
I
messy.
love
he
it.
be in the arena when Cooley returns?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're doing a live show from there. Who's coming? We'll bring the whole
I'm
squad.
in.
We'll bring the whole squad. We'll bring this
I'm
whole
in.
setup. Everyone's going to be there.
Man, let's get this
Yeah.
whole setup.
You're going to have some broken
All right,
equipment.
listen, we've finished up hour one here on the field of 68 afternoon. Can we call it that? The field of 68 afternoon? Yeah, field of 68 afternoon. We got another hour coming up. We're going to hear from John Fanta and Jeff Goodman live at NRG Stadium. We're going to visit with Andrea Hurley if she can ever find the right bar to go to. She's having a day. We're going to talk about it when she gets here. We got a lot to get to. That'll be coming up next. Are you a college basketball junkie? Are you the kind of fan that gets frustrated that this beautiful sport has such a lack of national coverage outside of the month of March? Well, let me tell you about the Field of 68, an all-encompassing digital network of podcasts, live streams, and newsletters that cover the sport at every level on every platform. From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, the only way to keep up with college basketball is through the Field of 68.
Field of 68, Final Four edition, live from Little Woodrow's in Houston. Little Woodrow's Edie, by the way. There's a bunch of Little Woodrows, by the way.
Yeah, I was confused.
Yeah, I was
I'm not gonna
confused
lie-
too.
I'm not gonna lie, I needed the address.
I'm glad we picked this one because this one's awesome. Thank you, T.O., by the way.
You're welcome.
Who says you're just a score first guy?
I
I
would-
was a pass first player.
I was trying not to drop my balls from the beginning while I was moving the computer over.
Nobody wants to see your balls drop, T.O.
No,
that's
what I'm saying.
That's an accurate statement. Hey, we're going to
Cheers,
have a
fellas.
special guest right
Here we
now. Our special guest is here.
Hi.
Hello. Hey. This is live.
Good to see you again. Hi, good to see you. Oh, God. Thank you.
We found her.
Hi.
Welcome live.
It's
to the
Andrea
Field of
Hurley.
68. Andrea Hurley, Final Four edition. Andrea, how are you?
I'm good now.
Lovely.
Like,
You have a drink ready and waiting for
Oh,
you. I don't know if I told
there
you
you
yet.
go.
yes,
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Actually, cheers. I got one with
Cheers
you.
to the
I drank
Huskies.
half before you got here. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
but-
No, trust me. This will be gone in 5
Nice.
seconds.
All right, so can we just
Okay.
tell the people
Can I
about the trials that you had finding this place and why Dan Hurley needs to get you a driver whenever you come to events like
I know
this?
for a fact that Mrs. Krzyzewski's not roaming the streets of the Final Four. I just gave homeless people all my money. I don't travel well by myself. I always have like Kamani's girlfriend Ashley. She does the Uber. She does this. So I'm staring at my phone. I'm like, I don't even know how to do this.
How many
I'm a moron.
restaurants did you go to before you finally
Three.
found it?
Two. But I'm here.
He did the same thing too.
That
so it's
wasn't
not-
bad though. Two's not bad for me. But I did walk. I got my steps in, so I'm
There you
good.
go. So
Got
I
the
wanna,
jiggies out.
I want to ask you about. There was a New York Post story that came
Yeah.
out today. Your husband at the PK 85 told everybody that he wears the same pair of underwear for every game because it's lucky underwear.
Yes.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah. Yes.
Two, you're letting him walk around in dirty underwear? Dirty
Oh no.
drawers?
And you think he would? He's like a germaphobe. So no. What usually happens is I had this. It has been going on for years, not just recent. So I actually got this because the sinks in hotels gross. So I bought this bucket that it's a collapsible bucket. So that's what I was using before. And I would fill the bucket, usually in the shower because you can't get it under the sink. And it's a big ordeal. I wash it's usually a shirt, underwear, and game day socks. So I do all that, but then I have to rinse it 77 times.
He has to wear all the same stuff. The
All the
same
same
shirt,
stuff, yeah.
same underwear,
For
and
years.
same socks. Years straight.
Years for as long as.
So it's as long as he's winning the win streak. So if it's a win streak, or is it just how does he?
Okay,
keep the
if he
superstition going?
loses, he gives them a rest, and then he'll go back.
Oh, so he's consistent.
So he has a
with it.
rotation.
He has a small rotation, very small. Thank God
How
for.
long has this been going? Like, how old are these boxers are we talking about?
Okay,
Are these socks like have holes in the toes? And
Yes,
holes in the heels?
they're tired. They're tired.
Now,
yes.
what's the worst thing that he does that drives you nuts?
It's got to be.
Oh
that.
about
God!
his superstition?
How many things are there?
I was gonna say, RC, come on, man.
How many things are there? Let me think. You know what? It just the little things that he needs, and if I don't have them, that's what makes me nuts. Because like my game day is getting him out the door. Like my game day is pre-game day.
Right.
It's like making sure he has. I'm not. He would kill me if I went through all this shit that he does. Like kill me.
He doesn't get you a driver, so what do you?
He didn't get me a driver, so there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be mad with him.
Yeah.
Well, this is all new for us. I can't even blame him. We don't. Who knew?
So
I'll walk. Trust me, I'm good.
I do want to ask you about this, and it's a little deeper than talking about just Dan Hurley's underwear.
Yeah.
He is the younger brother of Bobby Hurley. He is the son of Dan Hurley. The son of Bob Hurley.
Right.
Two of the greatest in the world at their specific professions. And I know what kind of weighed on him, right? Not quite living up to maybe the expectation of the Hurley name, what he put on it, not what people outside put on it. Now that he's gotten to the Final Four, like, what does that mean to him? Because he's talked to us about like crying before every game multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
Being in tears.
Yeah. I don't think. I keep saying to him, "Are you enough now? Like, did you get there?" And he's like, "No." Like, he's still to him is not enough. Like, I don't know. He's been doing this for so long that he feels. I think he's been chasing his family's achievements that like he just never felt like he was ever going to get there. And I'm just like, you college job. You were the first that's not enough. Like every time I says, you won your conference, is that not enough? It's like, when is it enough? And I just think that he, like I say, I always bash, I can't stand social media, but like people, it's not okay to say whatever you want. And people read that and gets in, and these are people that I would punch in the face. But
I can relate.
It's just, yeah, I mean, like, who the hell are you? It's like people, it's okay to just run your mouth and not be.
Can you tell she's from Jersey, by the way?
Oh, yeah, let me tell you something.
Can you tell she's from Jersey?
I'm laughing
I've had my
because
share with my own, yeah.
your
this
fans,
year.
they're not mad at Danny right now. They're mad at me right now. So
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
Why
they're
would
mad
you
at me
do?
right now.
He earned it. I think that's fair to say.
I'm
He
here
earned
for it. I'm here for it. So don't worry.
No, they're brutal.
I just
trust me.
said that UConn was not a blue blood, and you would have thought I cursed everybody in the.
Well, I was one.
So that. So
Oh, no, you are.
They're going at me right now.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm public enemy number one right now.
Well,
so.
I mean, trust me. Like I said, it's so crazy. I just did another media thing where, I mean, our fans are your fans. It's
Yes.
like, and you need them, and you know, but it's like we have the best fans, but then there's those few
Cross
that
the
are
line.
asshole. I mean, you like to curse?
Yeah.
Yes.
That are
I like how she
assholes.
said after. They're assholes.
Assholes.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yes. That it's just like, who the frig are you? It's like these guys are working their ass off.
Yeah.
It's if you're not with us, you're against us. And go up the road to Providence. I think they needed more assholes because they have tons of them. Like, I don't like that shit. These
I'm
are
here
like,
for it.
these kids. Like, if you are not with us, you're against us. And it's a shame that a few of these fans, like, they get to our kids. They're my kids. That don't get in my kid's head.
Do you mind if I
because
borrow that from you tonight?
You
so
can
when the
borrow it if you
UConn
want.
fans come messing with me, be like, yo, take your ass to Providence and get out of my face.
Take your ass to Prop the Road. They need. They're a bunch of jerk offs. So go.
They challenged him.
I
There's a bar
hate
down the
them.
street. So trucks
No,
like
they,
that is where you
they
have-
let me tell you something. Let me just tell you, Providence fans, I will never go back to that place. They were, what they did to me there, grown men spitting, throwing beer. No, sorry, they're not, that'll never be our fans. Our fans aren't like that. Like, our fans are just hard on the team, which annoys me, but they're not
I think it's a
disrespectful
small-
as far
it's
as
there's like
people.
a small minority on Twitter or on Instagram that lose their mind and go nuts. But
I know, but like I
they're
said-
they're the loudest.
I got
ones
a
in the
wrestling match.
But wait a
tomorrow.
minute.
Yeah, he's got a wrestling.
Yeah,
you know
I got
what?
a wrestling something tomorrow.
Are you
Oh,
wearing
trust
the
me, I
clothing?
had it out with some girl in the stand. I should be in jail right now. I shouldn't even be here. Because let me tell you something, I was 2
shocked that you would
seconds
yell
away.
at somebody
Well,
in the
you know what?
stand.
I do. Because when I look over, and I know in my head, I don't look at Twitter. I swear you can put me on a lie detector. I will not.
Answers text messages.
I do Instagram, but I know it's out there, and I hear other people saying it. So when I turn around and we just dunk the ball, and I see these, jabronis sitting in the stands, sipping on their beer and eating, get up, cheer for your team. You can't wait to go home and run your mouth on social media be behind your team. That's all I'm saying. Like, am I wrong? It's
fair.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, these are my kids. It's always
off
been like
limits.
that. Like, hey, not for nothing. You watch a movie. Somebody talks shit about your family. What do you see in the movie? You get punched in the mouth. Don't expect anything different from me or anyone else. Those are my kids. These are my family. So I can't be on Twitter because I'll be in a rubber room. So, but I'm saying it's a very...
I'm so impressed with you because Danny's not the toughest person in his own house.
No, he's not.
He is
Not
not the
even
toughest
close.
person
No.
in his household.
Not even
No,
I'm
but,
impressed.
Hey, but you know what? Then I say, then I feel bad for all these amazing fans we have. It's you can get 500 compliments. You have 2 shitheads,
Yeah.
and that's all you think about.
So I have a question on the fan base because you're sitting next to one of the craziest UConn fans
Oh,
that I
am
know.
I? See, I
She
wouldn't know.
knows.
I wouldn't know. Well, I do know, but I don't know if you say anything.
Well, I don't know if you know this. I might be spoiling
No, in
this.
a good way.
I might be
In a
getting
good
him
way.
in trouble. a
There
little
is
bit.
no wrong in UConn with him.
So
Okay,
I-
good. Oh,
I-
that's good.
I get to see, we're looking at a spreadsheet right here of topics for this live show we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I get to see this spreadsheet every single day. The last 3 nights that I have looked at the spreadsheet Rob Dauster has put together, there's been a topic that says, Dan Hurley is the villain of college
I
basketball.
wanted to ask you about that.
He's painting your husband as a villain.
am
I
not.
told him it's bullshit. I said it was nonsense.
It's bullshit, but I like it.
First of all,
Let everybody think that.
he's phrasing it wrong. It is Danny Hurley the villain of college basketball? Question mark. Because we don't have one.
Right.
You
Well,
don't have
What
it's
makes
fine.
him a villain, though? He's awesome.
No,
I
because
said he was charming.
Well, you know what?
Here's why. Because every time
Yeah.
that they pan the camera to him, you get this face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking over the
I
brim
love
of his
that
glasses.
face.
Like,
He's fighting with every ounce of energy
Yes.
he has. He's fighting, and he will fight. He doesn't give a shit what people say, what people think of him. Those are his kids. Those are his team. He's trying to do something here. He's not doing it for, it's like he's going to fight. If that makes him a villain and you don't like that he's winning games and, being confident and doing it the right way, then you know what, he's a villain. But it's so funny. Media, I know this is media, but it's funny how they take
She's
us.
about to bash us. Let's go.
No, it's so funny because I'm like,
we're gonna rename this podcast Andrea Hurley Against the World.
I know. Do you hear me? Like, what's wrong with me?
No, this is awesome.
I know.
Have another drink.
I know.
See what happens
You don't want to see what happens if I have another
So
one.
let's end on a serious note because we've thrown. I think a lot of this is in jest, right?
Wait, I have to finish, but my media thing,
of
though.
course. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Because
I thought we were done.
so now, because the media has always made him to be a villain, right? Like, not even a villain, but like, like my son says, my son Danny says, Dad has a punchable face. Yeah, he does, and his faces and whatever else he does, whatever. But now with the Final Four, it's like they need another story. So now he's gonna be, he's so sensitive. Like all these stories are coming. He wears the same undies, and now he's like, Danny, like you just run with it. Whatever they want to give you.
So here's a real question about him, because I've gotten to know him decently well off the court, and the persona that he has when he's coaching versus like who he is if you're just sitting back, hanging out with him, asking him a question after the game.
Yeah.
Very sarcastic, very kind of low and mellow, and like there's two different sides to him, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He's definitely, what people have in their head is complete opposite of how he is as a person. He's sensitive as shit. He's very in his feelings all the time. Cares about everyone, everything, to like almost a fault. It's like he worries about what other people think of him, but more so his team, his family, he would do anything for anyone. It's like, it sounds silly. It sounds like I don't know what I would say, but he's just such a. I know that people are like, what? He's a sweet guy. He's like my bestest friend. Like we have like this relationship where he really is like, it's just so fun and he keeps saying, I can't believe my best friend's a girl. Yeah, it is. Like we're like the best of friends, and that's the kind of relationship that we have, and that's the kind of person he is.
If you guys are best friends, if he ends up winning the title, if they cut down the nets,
yeah,
what will that mean to him?
Oh my God. Like I'm gonna cry. Like I can't even think about it. I honestly can't, because that would be like, he never took his foot off the gas from the second. This is from years ago, like when we were in high school, and like I was just saying in the last meeting, it's like you get so resentful as a wife that you see he leaves in high school every day. He wouldn't, he puts so much time in, and I would say, you need to take a day off, and he's like, no, I'm gonna get fired, and he rode that to this time, like never, I'm talking, he has never, ever slacked, what do you call that, slouched, whatever, for 1 second, never took his foot off the gas, and this is why he's here. So for that to happen, I don't even know.
We almost got him to cry. Almost.
No, I already cried like 3 times today.
You Hurleys are criers, huh?
We're a criers.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, this morning I wake up and I said, like we're in the Final Four, like, and he's just like, stop being a girl. And then he's like, I look at him and he's like,
All right.
I'm going to the dome.
Last thing, and then we'll let you get out of here and keep celebrating your time in the Final Four. Can you give us, it's that camera right there, can you give us the Dan Hurley mad at the ref's face?
No, because it's ugly. I don't want to make ugly faces.
How about this?
Yeah. No, I like when he does this. He does that like with the whole. I just made him do it last night.
He does another one where he puts his arms behind his back, which you got to tell him to stop doing. To get the tech, but when he stands that way, it makes his belly stick out, and he doesn't look. He's an in shape guy. Like he's not.
He is. Oh my God, he works out every day. I hate it.
We need to tell him to stop standing like this and sticking his gut out, because it looks like he's got a little bit of that.
Listen, you're turning into the toxic UConn fans, shaming your head coach.
You know what that is? You know what that gut is? It is every time he has a win, he eats jelly donut ice cream. Every win.
Respect.
Yep.
That's a
Jelly donut ice
Jelly
cream?
donut ice
That's a
cream.
thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Respect.
What did we have last night? It was it was white chocolate raspberry bread pudding. That was good. That was good.
The
You
whole
didn't have
meal
that,
was
did you?
good.
Did you bring?
Was it good?
Did you have your 2 a.m. snack?
Come on, I told you what it was. It might have been 2:30.
All right, well, if UConn wins the championship, we will get that very ice cream. How about that?
Yeah.
All 4 of us will agree to eat a tub of that ice cream. We can do that.
You in?
Bucket? All right.
No.
Not in?
I don't like it. I tried it. I didn't like it.
It's not good? Okay.
He
Understood.
loves it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this was Andrea Hurley. Congratulations
Thank
to
you
you and your
so
entire
much.
family.
I
Thank you so
appreciate
much
it.
for being here.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to go live to Jeff Goodman, John Fanta, over at the stadium here in Houston. That's after the break on the Field of 68 from the Final Four.
Today's episode of the Field of 68 After Dark is presented by our partners over at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's Final Four games. And pick'em, all you do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether it's points or rebounds or assists or all of them combined. If you're like me and you think Adama Sanogo is going to go nuts this weekend, pick higher on his points projection, pick higher on his rebounds projection, maybe throw in a lower on Matt Bradley's scoring totals, a higher on Isaiah Wong, whatever it is that you like. Put them all together, and if you hit them all, then you can win as much as 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured out how to use it. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, that's FIELD, to get a 100% deposit match up to $100.
Hey, everybody, from NRG Stadium in Houston, John Fanta, Jeff Goodman joining in on our Field of 68 show, sponsored by Bet River, sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. We'll get back to Greg, Rob, Terrence, and the crew coming up after this, but we've heard from FAU, Florida Atlantic, and San Diego State. And I got to tell you, Jeff.
Can I start with Andrea Hurley?
Yeah.
Can we please react to Andrea Hurley? I mean, she is a national treasure, John.
Yes, she is.
Like, I could honestly I'd much rather hang out with Andrea Hurley than Dan Hurley.
Oh, well, that goes without saying.
I mean,
that goes without saying.
Her stories about her husband. I remember talking to her during the pandemic, and she was like, the pandemic needs, like, I can't have him in the house anymore. Like, he was in the house every day.
Did you blame her?
They'd have boxes show up. They'd have boxes show up, and she would say they had to keep the boxes out for like 72 hours. Dan wouldn't allow the boxes in the house. Then they had to be wiped out. He wiped them down like perfectly. I mean, he is just out of his mind. And again, like, imagine being Andrea Hurley and being married to that man for as long as she has.
She saved his life. He says it too.
Of course she did.
Yeah, he says it. I mean,
she's awesome.
For those who don't know, Dan Hurley at Seton Hall had an up and down journey. He's detailed it.
Yep.
But look, he went through some adversity there.
She's been with him the whole way. The whole way. And she gives it to him straight. That's the beauty of Andrea Hurley. They kind of give it to each other straight, but what Dan Hurley needs, and he's told me this, is from her, like, don't BS me.
Yeah.
Just give it. And she doesn't know anything about basketball. That's the beauty. Says, I don't know anything. I just watch. I love the kids. And as she said, I mean, him on the sideline, she says, like, he's a lunatic sometimes, but he's my lunatic.
Yeah. She provides goodie bags after each shoot around to the kids. She is the team mom.
Yes,
she's a team mom. Yes. She's obviously the best
Anyway,
wife you could ever ask.
I didn't mean to divert.
Well, the train was off the tracks last night, so I wasn't expecting us to get back on.
Yeah.
We made it to the stadium.
You and I, man, like, we can go any which way.
Any which way.
Yeah.
Any which. Speaking of any which way.
Yeah.
We just got done talking with Brian Dutcher and Jay Wright out in the hallway. Yeah. And I really find Brian Dutcher, the head coach of San Diego State, for the common fan who's just learning about these teams, I really found Brian Dutcher's message interesting just now, because he said culture is being somewhere for 24 years. That's culture. And when I came in with Coach Fisher, I believe we could get to a Final Four national championship, but a lot of people probably thought that was fantasy.
So I've been around that program for about 20 years. I used to go there all the time. I was there for both Kawhi, Jimmer matchups in the VAS Center and at BYU. And, you walk in and you see these guys and especially the staff, Dutch and David Velasquez and Matt Soria and Steve Fisher and his son, Mark Fisher, were here earlier today. I haven't seen him yet, but I almost get emotional because of everything they've gone through. And again, Mark Fisher, for those that don't know, was diagnosed with ALS about 13 years ago. And every day that dude is smiling every day. So Dutch just said to me, he goes, how can we be down if we see him come in on every game day and he doesn't come in as many practices? It's a sense of reality. It hits you of like, we got to be grateful because again, things can happen. And Mark Fisher's never, ever put his head down and said, why me? He just continues to fight this thing. And man, has he fought it. Because, again, I haven't seen him since I've been here, but everybody you talk to says it's the same fish. And I think that kind of signifies what this program's about, the fight, the toughness. That's what San Diego State's always been about. And Dutch just told me, he said, listen, our Kauai team was more talented, but this team has got there because, again, they've grown defensively. They weren't great early. They've gotten a lot better, and it's cool to see.
Couple of notes on San Diego State as we're paying tribute, if you will, to the Aztecs and who they are as a program. Since 2009, they have the 5th best record in college basketball. Since 2019, they have the 3rd best record in college basketball. And how about this? It's ahead of the last 2 national champions, Baylor and
consistent.
Kansas. Last 6 years, 107 wins to 22 losses. And I think that's a big takeaway from today here in Houston is both Dutcher and then Dusty May. You caught up with Dusty May. He caught up with the press. Like they said, look, we get it. We get this whole Cinderella thing, but we don't feel that way about our programs and what we've done this year.
Well, I think it's different, right? Dutch said to me, Brian Dutcher said, listen, we thought we could get here. I think FAU was happy to get in the tournament, get to the Sweet 16, and now they're playing. Now they're understanding, hey, why not, right? But when they started the year, they didn't have these illusions of going to the Final Four. They wanted to get to the NCAA tournament. I think San Diego State every year has thought, why not? We can get to the Final Four. That's kind of their goal every year. FAU, their goal was to get to the tournament and then take it game by game.
Can you please paint the picture to us out in the hallway just now of Jim Larinaga on a golf cart?
Yeah, they almost ran me over. And luckily, I think he saved my life and told me to move. But a lot of these SIDs riding the golf carts, Scott Kuykendall from Marquette should not be driving the golf cart. I mean, my guess, I'm told, my sources say his license was taken away recently. So I don't know if they understand this, but he shouldn't be driving a golf cart.
A guy that's living in Milwaukee getting his license taken away. Color me shocked.
Yeah, there you go.
Color me shocked. Hey, when you think about where we are right now and these 4 teams, it has sank in. I mean, we'll be honest here. We're painting a picture of what's going on. There's no one here.
Nobody in the media room for FAU. For their players, there might have been 10 people. San Diego State just now, maybe 10, 12, 15 people. I assume the UConn contingent will come out for Miami. And obviously their beloved Huskies. But it's different right now. It doesn't have the same juice. Obviously you had a full Coach K press conference a year ago. I mean, a year ago was when I took the microphone and Armando Bacot gave me a big grin and said, I've been waiting for you, because we had called him soft. And he was very cordial in how he did it. He had some fun with it, but the personalities aren't there right now either. I mean, let's face it, personalities, the names of the coaches. It's as much as that as anything, right? Like Brian Dutcher and Dusty May compared to, last year, even Hubert Davis, who was the first-year head coach. Still, Hubert Davis, everybody knew who he was, and obviously you had Coach K on his last hurrah.
I see Jay Wright in the hallway, and I think of how familiar. It's weird.
A year later,
and we didn't know. Nobody knew. It's funny because Dana O'Neill asked him about handling retirement, and when he got done taking that question, he went back to Mike Sheridan behind the stage and goes, "She doesn't know." Mike Sheridan's SID. She doesn't know, does she?
Right.
Now being on the other side, I'm not one to get into this space, but I watched Jay Wright walking around, and I can't help but think I think he genuinely wants to be the next. He's going to be in that number 2 chair at the national championship game.
He's so good. He's so good at this, and I've talked to Jay recently, and he loves it. And honestly, I thought he'd get back into coaching. I thought he'd be an NBA head coach in a year or 2 or 3 or whatever, and have a chance at maybe the Sixers or something happens with Doc or when Pop retires in San Antonio. I don't think he takes it now. I think he's done coaching. I think he loves what he's doing. No pressure, no stress. He hears how the game's changing. All these coaches bitching and moaning and complaining to him about NIL and the portal. I mean, this is the time right now. I mean, think about it. 10 years ago, Fanta, when you were a young lad at City
I was
Hall.
in high school 10
You were in
years
high
ago.
school, right? You were in high school getting your ass whooped on the football field, right?
Yeah, as a left guard.
Right.
Yeah.
They were
That was a
tortured
horrible.
you.
The quarterback would look in the huddle, and we're really close here, so everybody can see my face. He'd look in the huddle. He'd go to the right side of the line first, and he'd go 44 on one. Then he'd look over, and he's like, "We better audible." His life flashed before his eyes.
I'm sure. I mean, listen, I've seen you move. I've seen
you move.
It's not very quick.
You're not quick either.
I'm a lot older than you. I've got an excuse not to be quick.
Well, you're clearly
still in your
blind.
20s.
We've identified you
Yes,
as legally blind.
I am.
And Dauster's deaf.
Dauster's deaf.
How do you
Where was
think things
I
are
going with
over?
this? Where was I
Well, I
going
was
with
trying
this?
to talk 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years ago. The difference of I'm also my memory sucks too. As you
That's
get
true.
older, I'm
You need
losing
your
it
daughter
all.
to arrive.
I'm losing it out. Yeah.
We need her.
So 10 years ago, coaches would be done with the season, and they'd have an opportunity to kind of wind down. And they didn't. Now with the portal, it's nonstop. These guys are going right now. And Dutcher just said, like, listen, right now I had to make a recruiting call today. Instead of focusing on the Final Four, he's got to hit the portal, and otherwise they're in trouble for next year. Because San Diego State has done an incredible job over the years of getting transfers, whether it's Pac-12 guys transferring down. Now lately, they've actually done a really good job of getting up transfers. You know, some of these guys like Micah Parrish, Lede, some of these guys transferring up, they've done a great job. But normally it was always you'd have a stretch of a couple of weeks where you'd have a chance to relax. Now these coaches are go because of the portal. There's almost, by right now, there's probably been 1,100 names that have gone in the portal in the last 30 days.
So what needs to change? And I say that asking about the timeline. Like, can we push this back a week so that it's not the Monday after Selection Sunday that a Brian Dutcher has to be making calls?
Yeah, I mean,
Could
that
we
would
move
be
it back
nice.
a week?
But a lot of coaches don't want that because they want to know their rosters quicker. But I say just give them a shorter window to put their name in the portal. That's all. Like, but kids are making in-home visits. You know, Kerr Kriisa was at Nebraska today. There's players going all over the country right now taking school visits. So I get it. I understand it. It's not fair for anybody. It's not going to be fair for a lot of these rules. Again, somebody's going to complain no matter what you do. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be fair for everybody.
We had Brad Underwood on the show earlier. He talked about the portal.
Yep.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Give me 2 or 3 coaches that you feel need to have a really good portal cycle.
Brad Underwood needs to have a strong portal. I mean, you know, Arkansas is going to need a strong portal again, but like Muss has done it over and over again. So I think, you know, he'll be fine. I mean, look at like Ole Miss, Chris Beard. He's going to need to have a strong portal. That's what he does, right? New coach, inheriting a new situation. A lot of these guys are going to go portaling, and you know, sometimes it's the game that we played the other night. You kind of retaught me craps,
Yes,
right?
Yes,
you don't know what you're getting.
You weren't winning.
No, because of you and
learned.
Dauster. You guys killed me. I might as well just thrown my money away.
You should have gone on the no pass line. It would have been a good move. by
Oh,
you.
okay. Now you tell me.
Yeah,
Great. You didn't tell me that before?
I didn't. Here's my basketball question, because I was thinking about this. A year from now, speaking of wagering, how much would you be willing to wager that one of Duke, Carolina, Kansas
are back here.
Kentucky, and I'll even add UCLA.
One of those
five are back.
I would think one of them get back. But again, I mean, we're in a stretch here, 2 more years of the extra COVID year. You know, you got to be older. Like Kentucky, I just saw their whole class at the McDonald's game. Not everybody, because Dillingham didn't play in the McDonald's game, but you know, Wagner, some of their other guys, they're talented. They're super talented, but they're young. They're young, and you don't win with young guys. So can you blend it? Like Alabama blended it this year, right? They had 4 freshmen in the top 8, and then they had some older dudes. Well, they didn't make it to the second second weekend.
They made the Sweet 16 and then lost to a group that was more experienced.
Right. So to me, I think that's a big part of it right now is you can't be too young, and Kentucky to me is going to be too young next year. So I would say for them, I don't have confidence. Duke bringing back Proctor, and you bring back a point guard who's a little bit older, and initially was more mature anyway because he's played a lot of international competition. So Roach will probably be back.
Mitchell's back.
Roach
Mark
going?
Mitchell just
Right, that's what I'm saying. So like Duke's got dudes
It could be
back.
number one.
Talent, absolutely. I mean, who knows what Shire does in the portal here, right? Like, I don't want to be too young. I don't care. And this freshman class, oh, by the way, everybody trying to say like, oh my God, this is the greatest class in college basketball history. No, this freshman class isn't good. They're okay. They're okay, but this isn't a high-powered freshman class.
And then you compound that with how many high-powered seniors and fifth years there are at the same time.
Yes.
We have about 2 minutes here before we send it back.
Are we really going to send it back?
We're sending it back.
Sure.
How do you think things are going over there?
Probably not very good. I mean, honestly, if Dauster's involved, probably not. I mean, luckily Greg can host, and Greg's teases are good. I mean, it's easy to it's easy to out tease Dauster.
That's true.
Easy.
That's true.
Right?
Well, I'll tease him on the show.
Yes. Very true.
I'll tease him on the show.
Yes.
He can get teased at a bar.
Can, will, does, all of it.
Coaching carousel, because I'm sure that someone, so I'm thinking of the people out there who woke up and were like, is anything else going to happen on this?
Not much. We're kind of done with the high majors for the most part, other than Grant McCaslin plays tonight for North Texas, and he'll go to Texas Tech. That's kind of the worst kept secret.
Will you tweet that as the game ends?
I don't know. I hate doing it right away. I kind of already tweeted that it's going to happen. So
good hire.
Yeah, good hire. I mean, Grant comes from the Scott Drew tree. I think so. Those fans are just, they're lunatics. So if you don't win right away, that there's a lot of pressure. And I don't know Grant well enough as a person to know how he'll handle. I think you got to be built differently to handle that fan base. Like Beard was built differently to be able to handle them, right? Mark Adams really wasn't. And I don't know Grant well enough to know. I thought Paul Mills would be able to handle that fan base a little bit better, but people have told me, Grant has family in the area, all that. He's a hell of a coach, I just worry about anybody in Lubbock that doesn't win. And you better play to those NIL guys too. The money guys in Lubbock, Mark Adams did not do a good job working with them.
And where's he going to land?
Retirement.
He's done.
I don't see anybody. Maybe junior college. He goes back. I don't know.
What question are you going to ask Dan Hurley this afternoon?
I don't know. I mean, I can get him going. I'm not sure.
We've got a story out, being honest here, about his underpants that he hasn't changed them. He's got a lucky pair.
Disgusting.
And now his wife has told us that, has told us all these stories about it.
Yeah, I mean, she can go. You could honestly have an entire show. Maybe we should.
We haven't seen the last of her. Oh, we have not seen the last of her.
Can we just replace Dauster with Andrea Hurley? I mean, ratings would soar.
Yes,
right?
they would. They would. She's a home run.
I think we got to get Andrea to make a daily appearance on the field of 68.
All right, Rob, you're on the hot seat. Let's send it back to little Woodrow's after these messages here on the field of 68. Thanks to producer Trevor for helping us out here from NRG Stadium.
You guys ever get tired of trying to prove that you won an argument, that your takes weren't hot, they were just right? Well, I have an answer to all of your problems. Vaulted is a new sports prediction app that turns your opinions into facts. You can store all of your predictions and hot takes in your own vault now and forever. Challenge your friends, keep track of the results, and prove that you are, in fact, the smartest one in the room. Vaulted is also releasing a Final Four competition called their Last Four Pool. What amounts to a hot take challenge, it has a $5,000 prize pool. Who doesn't like free money? I like free money. So if you like free money like me, then go and download the Vaulted app at the link below, sign up for your free 3-month trial, and store your predictions now and forever. You know what the best part about the end of the college basketball season is? That signifies the start of spring, the start of summer, the start of hot weather, the start of late nights, the start of weekends on the water, and the best way to stay refreshed during the summer months is with Hornitos Ranch Water, a premium sparkling cocktail with a balance of freshly squeezed lime paired with smooth tequila notes. Hornitos Tequila is a 100% agave premium tequila from the lowlands of Jalisco. It's specifically from the town of Tequila. Originating from one of the most historic distilleries, Hornitos paved the way for all future tequila brands, starting with the tequila name. An official partner of the Houston Astros, you can buy Hornitos Ranch Water in a can, or you can come to Houston's best sports bar, Little Woodrow's in Edo, and get a fresh, handmade cocktail with Hornitos Tequila. There's nothing better on a warm spring day than Hornitos Ranch Water and a Houston Astros baseball game. '68 afternoon, fellas. It's the Field of 68 Afternoons. We are live here at Little Woodrow's in Edo in downtown Houston. Thanks to John Fanta. Thanks for Jeff Goodman holding things down over at NRG Stadium. We're presented by our partners over at Bet Rivers, and we are presented by Hornitos Tequila and Jim Beam. Your greatest stories come from taking a shot, and Hornitos Tequila was made for shot takers. The all-night, early morning, burn the candle at both end move makers. T.O., you deserve a spirit that can keep up. 100% pure agave, no chasers necessary. Fellas, we hustle hard with Hornitos. I'm Rob Dauster. I got Terrence Oglesby here. I got Matt McCall
We found
here.
somebody.
We got Lavelle Jordan who just showed up.
Found somebody out of nowhere.
We think he actually just wanted a beverage, and then he looked and he's like, "Oh no, I can't."
No, I can't. Yeah,
Come on now.
I can't do that. He came in off the bench.
All right, Lavelle, what's going on, man? How
Quick
you doing?
sub
We haven't
in.
seen you yet.
I just wanted to see everybody in person. Like all the
right,
virtual,
yeah. Exactly right.
all the virtual conversations have been great. I
All right,
wanted
let
to
me
come
ask you a
check you guys
question.
out.
Now that you saw everybody in person, what was the biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise is how good you and T.O. looking in your button down and
Crazy,
sport coat.
right?
I mean, they look good, right?
You got to bring the heat.
They look
Right?
good, and then Dagan no hat. I think it's the first time I've ever seen Dagan
That's a good point. I didn't
without a
even-
hat. He always has a hat on.
That's true.
I do
Always
wear a
has a
hat
hat.
all the time, so that's true.
All right, fellas, I want to ask you guys this. Here's what we're going to start off with. Randolph yesterday basically guaranteed a Miami win over UConn in the semifinals of the Final Four. We're going to roll down the list here. We got a panel of guys that know what they're talking about. Lavelle, I'm starting with you. Do you agree?
I can't guarantee that.
Where
I
do you
can't
stand?
guarantee that. I've been hitting you about Connecticut
Oh, yeah.
all year, and they had the dip.
Hey,
but
for
just
the record, he is the only guy that will entertain me when I go nuts about Connecticut. He's the only guy that'll listen to it. He actually texts back.
I'll let you
man.
vent.
I don't know why you do
I'll
it.
let you
must
vent.
be like, this guy's
But
too much.
I think the evolution of Connecticut is just hard to pick against. They've had both sides of the ball for the most part all year, and now that they've figured out what to do when people sag off of Andre Jackson. But what's interesting is they've struggled guarding really good perimeter players. And Miami has a number of really good perimeter players with Pack and with Wong and with Miller. And all those guys are like, so they've had their issues there. But, I just don't, right now they just got so much confidence, so much momentum. I struggle to pick against Connecticut. I think they're going to get it done.
McCall?
Listen, as much as living in South Florida, I want to see an all South Florida national championship game with Miami versus FAU. Only saying that because I live down there, and it'd be great buzz.
That's the only reason why.
It's
That's
be
the only
great
reason
buzz. But no, I just think, and I thought Coach Hurley's interview the other night with Fanta, when he talked about the stretch they went on where they weren't playing good, and they got away from their identity. And he even said in there, that's when I was going nuts, and I was yelling at officials and getting in fights with refs. But when he said we got away from our identity, they know what doesn't work. And now he got their attention on that. And I think that's why they've been boat racing teams in this NCAA tournament. They've stuck to it. They've stuck to their identity. Do I think they're going to blow out Miami? No, I don't think they're going to blow out Miami. I think it's going to be a heck of a basketball game. I'm not picking against UConn.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to pick against UConn, too. Over the past 5 or 6 years, is there a team that's played better at this point of the season? I would venture to say maybe Baylor when they went on their run with Scott Drew and Jared Butler and Mitchell and those guys. I would say they're 1A and 1B as far as how well they're playing. But to go along with what you said, Lavelle, they have struggled with guards on occasion. Good guards that can create some things. That's where UConn struggled. But I think not only getting back to their identity, like you said, Matt, I think it also comes down to they were able to figure out that monster man defense on Andre Jackson. They were able to use that.
Rob after they lost to Xavier, but the second half of that game, you remember this? I just said that's going to help them in the postseason because the second half of the Xavier game, they moved Andre Jackson to the 4 and had his role so he could screen, he could hand off, he could create for the shooters. And then they went 1-3-1 to get back in the game because they were struggling to contain Xavier man-to-man. They haven't had to whip the 1-3-1 out in the tournament because they've been dominant.
Yep.
But they're still there. So they had some solutions when they struggle. And I thought, man, when they need that down the stretch, they'll have it. And it worked. They didn't win the game, but I thought it was great for their long-term, success.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, too. Like, you get to this point in time of the season, and Coach Donovan used to say this all the time. You're not changing your offense, right? You're not changing what you're running. But coming out of an under 4 timeout and changing your defense just to give the opposing team a different look, that can help you advance. It really can, because all of a sudden now it's a 1-2 possession game. You can steal possessions by doing that, especially at those after timeouts. All of a sudden, if I'm coming out of a timeout and UConn, if I'm Miami, and all of a sudden I see this 1-3-1, not that they're not going to be prepared for it. They're going to be prepared for it. But the willingness to do that, that's how you advance. And they haven't had to go to it, but they got it, like you said.
It's in the package.
Yeah, if nothing else, just to change the rhythm up of the game, too. Like, if Miami starts popping the ball
with
around.
these guards, I'm thinking in my mind, Wong could go crazy. Nigel Pack can go 7 for 10 from 3.
Right.
We could really struggle. They're small. They're going to spread us out. They got Sanogo running all over the place.
Yep.
Just stick him in the middle of the zone if you have to, where he doesn't have to move, and he can just protect the paint. And now you can find the shooters and just mark them up, and you're not chasing. It's there.
Yep.
Will they have to pull it out? I don't know.
They use it against Marquette, too. They went 2-3.
Again, Marquette keeps you on the run.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing those teams that kind of get you on the run, and you just need to keep people in front of you and know where they are, they've got something for that.
I thought the big thing, too, was offensively Caravan playing more 3 and then Jackson at the 4, like you alluded to. And then whenever they do that, and I used this line last week when we were in Las Vegas, but he turned them backing up into the paint from a stop sign into a runway.
Yeah.
Because now, it's really hard to guard guys if they're backing up and then they come at you with full speed. Andre Jackson started to do that. They've also done some things where Sanogo's putting it on the deck, fellas. That's 6'9", 200. So he's putting it on the deck. And then you put Jackson down in the dunker, and he's forcing help, and people don't want to come off those shooters. I think a lot of it, to go along with losing their identity, figuring out how to make Jackson effective when teams are specializing their defense against what he does. I think that is big time, too.
All that being said, we've seen Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
We've seen Peyton Seaver and Russ Smith. Our coach, Trey Burke, I saw it up close and personal. Like, when you have guards that can just dominate a game, which
Shabazz Napier, Boatwright and Napier.
I understand why Randolph would say what he said, because Miami's got a couple dudes that can just dominate the game at a spot where you can't. If you're bringing the ball up the court, you can't deny a guy that already has the ball.
Well, they got 3 guys.
And they got 3 of them.
Let me ask you guys this. When it comes to those guards, how are you, if you're UConn, and you look at what this team has, you look at Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack and Wooga Poplar and Jordan Miller, and they also got Norchad in there. What's the first thing you're trying to stop? How do you go about game planning to slow them down when you know at the end of the day it's probably just going to be you got to stop them one-on-one? What do you do first, Theo?
You're guarding the ball. I think it's really going to come down to nut cutting time. Guard the freaking ball.
Nut cutting time.
And here's the thing too. Miami's beat teams in different ways this year. We've seen them play when they beat the brakes off of Duke and Coral Gables. The ball was swinging from side to side, and they were able to do it that way. Whenever they have to win games at the end of regulation, they have multiple dudes that can create. How do you stop them? One, I think Omier is a giant key to this game. He controlled the boards in their last game. I mean, what do you have? 8 defensive, 7 offensive. This guy, he gives them extra opportunities. He ended up with 12 or 14 rebounds in the Elite 8 game. But the problem is, it wasn't just the fact that he had 12 rebounds. It was the other 7 or 8 that he tipped out for offensive rebound opportunities. It was those things. If you control Omier, I think it cuts those second chance opportunities off for some difficult shots. At Miami, they take difficult shots. Don't give them 2 difficult shots, because they'll hit one of them.
They're going to make them.
Yes, they're going to make them.
They take and make
at least if
shots.
not on the first time, then on the second time. And if you take them away off the offensive glass, it makes it substantially more difficult.
I think UConn's just got to come out and be physical. They've got to be physical. Isaiah Wong has to feel that physicality we're going to get a test early in the game. How is this game going to be officiated? Right? There's no consistency with officiating ever in the NCAA tournament. I'm not knocking the officials. Listen, the officials now, they love me. They all come up and they hug me. They think I'm the greatest guy in the world now because I'm not over there stomping my feet yelling at them. But how's this game going to be reffed?
Is that what you were? Were you a foot stomper?
Yeah. Oh, I was a big foot stomper. Yeah, argue every call. That didn't really bode well for me. Now they see me over there doing television. They want to come over and give me a hug. But I just think, how's the game going to be officiated? Because if they're going to let them play, then UConn's got to come out and be very, very physical, especially with Wong early in the game.
That's right.
And here's the challenge is, because my first initial thought was saying, get him off the three-point line. Connecticut's been great at that all season long, defending the three. However, they only made 2 threes last game against Texas. They shot 32 free throws, to your point.
Yep.
So what makes them hard is you can get them off the line, but they can find a matchup and exploit you, and now you're in recovery, and now they're at the free throw line, and they're a really good free throw shooting team. So I think guarding them without fouling probably becomes the most important thing. I think UConn has enough length
How do you match
to contest
up,
the threes. That's going to be a challenge.
That's the hard part.
Because we all know, like,
Wong's great. Nigel Pack can go nuts.
Jordan
and then
Miller
Jordan Miller goes
was
9 for 9.
outstanding.
Coach L is great at he's going to find Waldo, right? Like, where's Waldo? And so they're going to be in search of
Where's Waldo?
the weak
Which guy
defender.
you want?
You remember the game, right?
I know, yeah.
Are you still attacking Kerr?
So Kerr was the guy early. He's gotten better.
Yeah, he
He's
has.
gotten a
Way
lot better. And I think playing Naeem Aline has helped their perimeter defense a ton because Calcaterra sat in the middle when they struggled. They played Aline more, and they got back to that identity. But with Jordan Miller, I mean, he's 6'6". He's like Andre Jackson can only guard one of them.
Mason plenty.
He can only guard one of them. And Naeem Aline can only guard one of the other ones. There's still a third dude with a Wong or Miller or Pack. You know, who's going to guard the other? And Klingon and Sanogo being at the rim. Because I think they can funnel them and just challenge at the rim, and those guys can not foul. Easier said than done, but I think that's kind of the formula for them. And if you struggle, like I said, shoot, go 1-3-1. You know where
Throw
they're
it
at.
out there.
Just throw it out there.
Throw it out there. Throw it out there.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it too. LaValle and Matt, I want to ask you guys this because I think one of the hardest things to do is you didn't. Hey, listen why. You played it
too much time with
you
in Vegas.
You were at Clemson. You don't have a part.
You're here
of this
to look good
conversation.
today. Yeah. Just smile and wear the
I'm
blanket.
just a pretty face at this point.
When you get to the Final Four, there's a level of celebration, feeling like you achieved something, right? It's like we came out of our region, we cut down nets, we won something. How hard is it to then turn your focus into, but wait, we got 2 more games. Like our goal was to get here, but we're not done yet. So, I mean, you won 2 titles with Florida. You made it to the national championship game with Trey Burke. You both won after winning something, if that makes sense. Matt, how do you go about refocusing your team?
It's interesting you say that because I talked a lot about this yesterday on ESPN West Palm because being down in South Florida
How about that
with
flex, huh? ESPN West Palm.
I live in West Palm. I
don't live in West Palm. But with what FAU's done, this is what I talked about. And Coach knows this. They beat us in the Elite Eight. I still don't think Trey Burke has missed a shot since then. But we had gone to 4 straight Elite Eights. And we're playing Dayton in Memphis to go to the Final Four. And it was almost like, all right, we did it. You know, and this is way after the back-to-back national champion. I mean, that team was so focused and so locked in. But which team that's here remains that focus? Because there's a total different level of distractions once you get here. You're here earlier. There's more media. There's more attention, right? Your first couple rounds, you're just dealing with your local media. Now all of a sudden you see Wilbon walking in the room, or whoever it may be from ESPN that you've grown up watching. There's a whole different level of distractions. There's more gear. There's more. Who stays focused? I think it's more not the we've achieved it, we've gotten here. Who stays focused and gets it done? That who can block out, and they're good distractions, but you got to be able to block them out because it's different. You get to the arena today and you're shooting intro videos and you're smoke and there's all the stuff that you did back in September, right, to prepare for the season. Now you got to do it again here at the Final Four. So who blocks all that out and just goes out there and plays?
Yeah, the logistics of it become important. This is where your support staff, they got to be on point because they're driving guys to shoot the smoke screen, the green screen, the videos. You really get a practice before you leave because Tuesday was probably off, right, after you got done with last weekend. Wednesday's your good practice before you leave because you got Monday, Tuesday, you're just getting guys refreshed, like recover, rehab,
And they're on
refresh.
campus, and
Everybody's going nuts on
campus.
campus. Wednesday's your day to like practice, and Thursday when you head down here, now the open practices. I mean, it's just a glorified shoot around, autographs, all the stuff. And so in those film sessions in the ballrooms, those walkthroughs, you can't go long, but they have to be so locked in, so focused. Guys got to make sure they're fed, like your ops guys or support team, because you just can't have them thinking about anything else for the 45 minutes you're in the room, because there's so much other stuff going on, and they got to be fresh to play the game, right? Because that's the most important things. The game's Saturday night. We got to have our legs, we got to have our minds, we got to have our focus, and you want them fresh to be able to go into game time.
Even families, tickets. Who's coming?
That's one of the biggest distractions that people don't talk about.
Is family.
They're all anxious about getting their people tickets.
How are they going to get here? Where are they staying?
And that's a real thing.
I mean, that's a real thing.
How do you go about doing that? Do you just get a room block in one of these hotels? Is that what it is?
A lot of schools will have a room block. They're not cheap by any means, but a lot of schools have a room block, and you still only get a certain amount of tickets. So it's your parents, really, maybe your grandparents, but it stresses the players out.
Yeah.
There's a level of stress that they're going through. Like, I don't know who to put on my list.
We're trying to
who am I going to upset?
And so you give them windows like, all right, fellas, like your family can come to the lobby. You can't leave the hotel. But, like, as long as they know they have some freedom, because they're sitting in the film room thinking about when can I see my uncle, cousin, mom, or, like, I got to tell somebody that can come to the game, can't come to the game. So you try to give them these pockets of windows where they have their time to do their thing, to operate within the confines of our focus and our preparation.
All right, let's talk Florida Atlantic here.
Yeah, finally, let's go.
Florida Atlantic.
FAU.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
The good thing is,
Waiting so long.
there's only 4 minutes left in this show.
We're not even talking FAU.
There's only 4 minutes left in this show. That's the reason he's doing it now.
What do you want to talk about, T.O.?
No,
you know what?
Atlantic
We're clearing the
just
floor.
about-
All right, we
I
got
don't
4
want to
minutes
talk anymore.
left. It's no longer the
you
field
ruined
of
it.
68. It's
we
the
got
field of T.O. What do you want to talk about?
No. I want to talk about FAU.
TO's turn.
Florida Atlantic. What do they have to do to beat San Diego State?
You know what's crazy is every time they go up against this big physical team, I'm thinking, man, they're just going to beat them up because they're smaller. No, sir. John L. Davis, like he's a 4-man in a guard's body who boards, he attacks the rim. What do they have to do? Just more of the same. I mean, they have been effective no matter who they play. They spread it out. I think Golden is like
He's key in this game.
He is
He
perfect
is big in this game.
because he plays his role. He doesn't need too much, and at the same time, he's efficient. Like, they just have so many different guys that can make something happen. Big fan of what Dusty May's done, obviously. But John L. Davis, he's really that guy that can get loose and get 20 to 25. And they're going to need him to, because against San Diego State has to be some individual playmaking.
Yeah.
Right? So he's that guy that needs to have a big game to go along with some complementary shot making and things like that. But he's that guy, change of pace, get to the cup, change of pace, use his body because he's strong. He's a guy that can compete physically with whoever they throw at him.
Yeah. Listen, we only got 3 minutes left. Hopefully we carve out like 15 tonight for FAU so I can get on a little bit of FAU soapbox.
Oh, we will. We will. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You know what? Hey, we're going ISO here, guys.
I'm listening. I'm with T.A. I'm with
McCall, let's
T.O.
go.
I think Vlad Golden's huge in this game, right? But I think FAU's prepared to play a team like this. Listen, North Texas is going to slow the game down. They beat North Texas twice. So they've played this similar style of play.
Sure.
Now, I think San Diego State, obviously their depth, they play 9 guys between 15 and 28 minutes in a game, so the depth can wear on you a little bit. They can't play distracted. If they go into the under 8 timeout and the score is 8-6, don't be distracted. What's been so impressive about FAU in this tournament is they've always had a run. They've always had a run in these games. They've always had a run, so they're going to need a run. But I think early on in this game, getting the ball inside to Vlad Golden, who was outstanding in their last game. He's had some big games for him. That'll alleviate some pressure and try to get to the foul line.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people haven't talked about with FAU is they're a really good offensive rebounding team.
They're really good.
Like,
really
they
good.
get to the glass, they've been double-figure offensive rebounds the whole tournament, and something that goes missing because when you're up against these physical teams, they fly in there, sneak in there, and get an easy putback. It settles you down. It's like if you're struggling for points, somebody gets a tip in and put back. So if they stay on the offensive glass like they have been, like they can find some of those garbage buckets, just some of those points that are unexpected, because John L. Davis is going to show up. Like he's been doing that the whole tournament. But that 14-point second chance points, is a key for them to stick around, stay in it, or calm themselves down if they're struggling. No question.
Well, listen, I'm not going to make you guys make official predictions right now. We're going to be doing that later, probably Friday night. Later on tonight, 8 until 10 p.m. Central Time, 9 to 11 Eastern Time, we are going to be at the Bayou Music House. That is where they're hosting the three-point shootout and the dunk competition for, I think it's on ESPN. We're going to be there 9 to 11 p.m. We're going to be at the Intersports Party, guys. There's going to be an open bar. We're going to have our wristbands. There may or may not be beverages consumed.
Are they going to have this over there?
I might make Matt McCall take a shot of Hornitas tequila. But listen, we'll be back 8 o'clock tonight. It will actually be the Field of 68 After Dark instead of the Field of 68 Afternoon. For LaValle Jordan, for Matt McCall, for Terrence Oglesby, for Greg Waddell, for Carter Elliott, for Randolph Childress. We're not talking about John Fanta and Jeff Goodman right now. Producer Dagan Hughes. It's been the Field of 68 Afternoon.